packages that he is delivering are the packages that he did not deliver because he killed Athena.
Yeah.
And he's busy out trying to deliver those packages because the system, the package that he was delivering to Athena's house, the Barbie dolls, the career Barbie dolls that she was going to get for Christmas, that package is left discarded behind on that property, but it's not recorded in the system as being delivered. But the packages that he should have delivered after that don't get delivered. Mm-hmm. And that next day, he's out delivering those, right? As well as the other stuff that he's supposed to be delivering. The guy, but yeah, the words almost failed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not just the words, the actions too, right? The honking of the horn. Like, I'm so impatient. You see him throw his hands up at one point.
How dare you not let me in?
I can't believe that I can't get down this street.
And he's riding around like he knows nothing about this. I'm just a normal little FedEx delivery guy. Mm-hmm. Really? Yeah. Really? And then I go back to when they get him in custody, and a week after he has led them to Athena's body, he gets in touch with them and wants to speak to that ranger again. And what does he start off with? I'd like to cut a deal. Right. I'll give you all the details.
Just let me go home with a leg monitor for 30 days. Yeah, so my son has the best Christmas because it's going to be my last Christmas with my son. Yeah.
There's I don't even know what malignant narcissist. I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist. Yeah. There is some psychiatric definition to the evil that is at play here. But I'm sorry, don't blaming this on Asperger's. I know autistic people. I mean, being autistic does not make you a murderer.
Right.
So to me, the defense has, I don't even know how they get over the bar here.
Yeah, it's I'm sure it's always been uphill for them. I think it seems like when you don't think that you would hear more or find more stuff, that you're just like, what? Then the next day happens, and then there's another piece of evidence that they show. And I mean, I just think we get to see how he is the day after this happens, less than 24 hours after he kills a 7-year-old, and he's smoking his cigarette, and he's driving his route, and he's impatient, and he's honking his horn, and he's acting like he doesn't know anything. And he's actually driving by where he was the day before, where he should have been the day before, and just nothing triggers an emotional response from him. He's not emotional. Oh my gosh, I'm back at the same location. There's nothing.
No, there is a cold, calculated. The fact that he is covering up that front-facing camera a couple times in the days preceding and on the day when he's kidnapping Athena shows me that he knew exactly what he was doing. Mm-hmm. He was planning this. If it hadn't been Athena, it would have been another little girl.
Well, I think the thing that I've kind of picked up on from just this trial, whether you look at the sexual assault victims, the two women that testified, I mean, to me, I just see he's more of a person that capitalizes on an opportunity. You know, I think that he either sets it up to create the opportunity for himself, or whenever a situation arises, he capitalizes on it for his benefit or his gain, is what I kind of see, which is, again, what I think is going to be an issue that plays to the state's hand on future danger, because, hey, you know, this is just a guy that when he gets an opportunity to do something bad, he does something bad. So to say that you can, I don't want to say guarantee that he's not a future danger, but to believe that he's not a future danger, you'd probably have to believe that he would not take advantage of opportunities in a way that could be harmful to other people. And we see what his thoughts are on other people, and it's really not much. It's more about what he gets, what he does, what happens to him, and not necessarily the rest of the people in his community or around him.
Well, you look at even the letter that he writes to Athena's mom, I mean, to her parents, you know, basically saying, you know, how sorry he is, but then it's all about how, oh, poor me, my life, and that, you know, FedEx wasn't treating me nicely, and you know, all these things, and and then he also writes a letter to the detectives where he claims that there's this um, man with a rifle, and the man with the rifle is the one that really did it, which is a completely different story than Zero, of course, you know, because before it was Zero made me do it. So it's all that. So I've been looking at questions in the chat. Somebody asked, is Dad taking the stand? The dad has already taken the stand. He was our first witness at the start of this morning. Right now, the jury's on a break. We've been watching these videos from this delivery truck. These are videos that either precede like the days before, or one part of the video that we saw is from showing him covering up the camera on the day that Athena's kidnapped. And then, of course, the day after, where we see this encounter where he's just out delivering packages and he encounters someone on the road and the road is blocked. And when he doesn't get let through, he's just, you know, upset, clearly.
Sure.
So we know that while we're waiting, well, so of course they're on a break, but we know that eventually this morning they're going to play that hour plus video in the courtroom of where Athena is kidnapped or murdered. Again, that will not be live streamed. During that time, Keith and I will be here, and we're going to replay the father's testimony, and we're going to replay the mother's testimony. We were trying to decide kind of how during that time how we could fill the gap, and so we're going to replay that testimony, because I think, you know, people, as hard as it is to listen to, again, it is where the rubber meets the road.
And it seems like it's definitely of interest to the viewers as well. A lot of comments wondering about the dad's testimony or the mom's testimony. And so I think that that'll be something that they will be able to see if they've already missed it.
Keith, somebody asked, do you think he might have done something like this before?
I don't know. You know, I'm pretty sure that the Ranger Espinosa and probably some of the investigators have probably either question that or look to see if there's anything that would show that. You know, I just don't know. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever know if it's happened before.
Yeah, well, and one thing I've talked about with the other guests, and we've talked a little bit about it this morning, is that videos like these didn't exist before. When I first started as a crime reporter back in, dating myself, 1995, 1996, that realm, at the Pasadena Citizen, and just outside Houston, none of this existed. You didn't have, you know, there was no dash cams, there was no body cams, cell phones. I didn't even have a cell phone back then. And so you think about this case, does Tanner Horner get caught? And I don't know how you feel about this, but I think there's a high likelihood that he gets away with it.
You know, it definitely doesn't get solved as fast as it did. You know, and maybe it is one of those deals that he might have gotten away with it. You know, I don't know, because, you know, at some point, depending on if they find her body, how they find her body, if there could have been some sort of insight after examining it, you know, then maybe. But yeah, I mean, it definitely is a more compelling case now, because you have the video evidence, you have all these things that maybe you wouldn't have had before. You get to see exactly how he was leading up to that. You get to see his preparation leading up to this.
You get to see his internet searches.
You get to see his internet searches. You get to see all the things that this guy's into that maybe he doesn't tell you that he's into, but when they start looking at things, they can see that BDSM and all these other things that don't fare well.
I had to look that up. I was like, exactly what is that?
Yeah, all those things that maybe he's not going to tell you, but you see it now because of this, all the forensics and all the newer technology and everything. So it's definitely a different case if he is apprehended 20 years ago, if this happened.
It's a much more circumstantial case.
Sure.
Because I don't even know, 20 years ago, do you really have DNA?
You don't.
I
I mean,
don't think so.
96, like when it was just I think 90.
Well, that 96 is 30 years ago.
Well, I think it was coming onto the scene and still being fleshed out and everything like that. So, I mean,
and
you don't have a lot.
and the DNA is so minuscule,
Mhm.
right? And in this particular case, the DNA
on the swabs
is so I don't even know if you really get DNA that you could match him to, because like the YSTR testing, that wouldn't have existed back then.
Right.
YSTR testing is very, very new. I don't know when exactly it came around, but
Mhm.
I feel like that's within the last decade, right?
I had a case where we used YSTR whenever I was in the DA's office, and I left the DA's office in 2014. So that's 12 years. And so probably 15 years ago, maybe. But I, more than a decade, but still newer.
Okay, so I've been watching your questions here in the chat, and so somebody asked, "Do you think Athena's parents will speak again?" It's possible. At some point, once we get through punishment and the jury makes their decision, they'll have presumably victim impact statements,
Mm-hmm.
and it's possible that they will take the stand again. It's also possible we could hear from other family members or friends. I mean,
I would assume they definitely, especially mom, I would definitely think that she's going to probably have a statement to give in victim impact. So I definitely think that you will hear probably from her. And like you said, maybe some other family members that'll be able to say something. It's after he's sentenced. It's not before he gets sentenced to whatever that sentence is, that they will have an opportunity to say and speak directly to him, in guilt, innocence, and punishment. They're testifying, but they can't ask him questions. They can't talk to him directly. I say that mom, whenever she said, yeah, Athena loved everyone, and everyone except for one person loved her, directing that kind of sort of to
and
the
also about the
defense
shirt
and those things. But that would be a more appropriate time where they're actually able to voice, whether it's disdain, whether it's forgiveness, whatever is they think of, whatever they want to say to this defendant, they'll be able to do that at the very end.
Okay, so I'm continuing to write your questions down as best I can. So somebody was asking about whether she was a victim of sexual assault. I think at this point the answer is inconclusive, because when the medical examiner testified, she testified that there was, that Athena did not have injuries to her vaginal or to her private areas, but there was DNA that was recovered on a vaginal swab, and they were able to do this YSTR testing. This is a testing where they isolate the Y chromosome, which is the male chromosome, and he was not excluded, right? But and you can explain this again, because people jump in and out of these chats, so they may not have heard your explanation earlier. But typically YSTR testing is done in cases where you just have a really minute sample.
When you have a minute sample and you think that there potentially could be identifiers, DNA identifiers, or in what they call the loci in locations, and you might have a partial profile. You don't have a total full profile that you can extract. We talked about that earlier. And so you might use YSTR testing. And if y'all remember, whenever the expert was talking about them doing the YSTR, it had to be pursuant to a court order. And then both sides, the defense and the state, had to agree where this was going. And it's because when they do the YSTR testing, whatever that sample is that they're examining, it usually destroys it. And so what you don't want, and what they didn't want in a death penalty case, is for it to get sent to some lab, and then later the defense say, oh, I wouldn't have wanted it to be sent to that lab. I would have wanted it to go here. So they had both sides agree to where it would go, because once that thing got tested, it was no more. And I think that the expert talked about it was going to destroy the sample. And so there would be
which is
no
probably why we
testing.
heard that testimony, maybe. Right. Somebody asked, could the water she was in have impacted the sample?
For sure.
Because she's in the water for about 3 days.
Right. I think so.
Well, we don't know how long she's in the water, because it's possible he could have moved her. We don't really know.
Right.
But anyway, go ahead.
Well, I think so. You've got water coming in contact with her body. She's naked when she's recovered. So, I mean, I think that all of those things could be factors into how much DNA they were able to recover. The fact that they were even able to do YSTR or find some
That's
evidence.
almost a miracle.
It's almost a miracle. So it definitely causes impact. I think that the forensic examiner, I think she testified to the impacts that when you don't have someone at a particular scene where the death actually occurred and there's movement and things, that it does affect what evidence is recovered ultimately off of that body.
Okay, folks, we just got word. Zeke just told me in my earpiece that they have started the video, the one that we cannot stream. That's the video where you see where he kidnaps Athena and Rebecca Lopez, our senior crime and justice reporter, and again Terry Bentley Hill. They are in that courtroom, and when the video is finished, they will come out and describe for us what they have seen and heard. And I really think, based on what we've heard, that they will rest. I think they're going to rest after this. So we're going to start. So while we wait, because I know you guys are interested in rehearing Athena's mom and also her father. Let's start off with Athena's mom. This is I think it's about 40 minutes. And we're going to, Keith and I are going to listen to it. Zeke, are you able to, do you have it up yet? Oh, it's okay. Are you, and I'm see, guys, you've seen a little bit of the sausage get made here. Can you put something on the super that lets people know that we're replaying something, that this is not live, this is actually we're replaying something? So, oh wow, it's small. I'm old and blind. Okay, now I see it. Okay, all right, maybe make it I don't know if we can make it a little bigger. Just feels like,
yeah, I can see that previously recorded, I think, is what's going to show.
But okay, so let's go ahead and start it and take a listen to Athena's mom, Maitland Gandy.
Put one in the restroom, so.
What's wrong?
Ready?
Yep.
Everyone may be seated. All right, we are ready to proceed, ladies and gentlemen. This witness has been previously sworn to testify truthfully. Mr. Strangled.
Thank you, Judge. Man, we've seen you sitting here in court since this case started. Would you introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Maitland Gandy. I'm better known as the mother of Athena Presley Monroe Strand.
And I'm going to show you something that's been admitted already in the evidence. Would you please?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson talked about this picture here, and I want to ask you, she mentioned that she had a little grin on his face. Do you have a better explanation about why she has a grin on her face?
I do. So this was taken about a month before she was murdered, and we were at a Mexican restaurant in our hometown, and I wanted to get a picture of her and her baby sister, my baby sister, all together, and she stole an orange from my drink, and she had it in her mouth to look like it. She looked like a little monkey, and I took the original picture, not noticing the orange in her mouth, and then, of course, being the mom that I am, I said, Athena Presley, and she immediately closed her lips around that orange so she could hide the orange and take the picture that I wanted.
That's the reason for the grin.
Yes, sir.
You said this picture was taken when?
About a month before she was killed.
Let me show you another picture that's been admitted to the evidence. And I think we've seen this one. When was this picture taken?
That was taken on November 26th of 2022. It was a Saturday. It was about 1:30 p.m. And that was in the front seat of my Jeep.
And notice she's got a white shirt on here. What's the symbolism of this white shirt? What's she wearing?
It says, "We are family 2022," because we always had matching fall pajamas for Halloween and matching Christmas pajamas. It was a part of our holiday traditions.
And was it just her, or was there somebody else with her?
No, you can see my baby, Rylan.
Is this right here?
Yes.
And how many days before she was murdered was this picture taken?
4 days.
4 days. And I'm noticing something on her head here. What's on her head?
That is her red bow for Christmas, because red was the theme for our family that year.
Ma'am, I notice you have something in your hand there. Show that to the jury.
This is her red bow.
Is that the same red bow that we see in that picture?
Yes, sir.
Do you leave home without that?
Not when I come to this state.
Okay. Maybe back home every once in a while?
Every once in a while. Quick trip to Walmart, maybe.
Something else about this picture, was this one of the last times you saw Athena?
I had a little bit more than 24 hours left with her. I just didn't know it at the time.
And we heard from Ms. Thompson that Athena was living here for a little while. And I guess that little more time is the time it took you to get from where you were in Oklahoma to the meeting spot with Jacob. Is that right?
Yes.
And I say Jacob, who's Jacob?
Jacob is Athena's daddy.
And where do y'all normally meet?
ASAP in Bowie, Texas.
Okay. Is that a convenience store?
It's a gas station of sorts. It's gotten better over the years.
Okay. Stop and rob, if you will.
Yes, sir.
And so y'all exchange on that day, right?
We exchanged Sunday, November 27th of 2022.
You remember the last thing you said to Athena?
I told her that I loved her and that I would see her on Friday. We had a quick drop off because her daddy was going to take them to the Christmas lights that night. So it's not the goodbye that I would have wanted.
So you and Jacob, when is Athena born with you and Jacob? What's her birthday?
She was born Saturday, May 23rd of 2015 at 9:01 p.m.
And let me ask you, from the time she was born until the last time you saw her, how would you describe her as a child?
She was the perfect mixture of me and Jacob. She loved to wear her pretty princess dresses, but at the same time, she would play in the dirt in those same pretty princess dresses. And she was free and she was wild and she was bright and she was loving. She wanted to be loved and to give love, and that's it.
Now, as she got older, did she have some things that were kind of her favorites and the things that she liked to do?
That's a broad question to ask. Athena loved everything. She loved life. We liked to watch movies together. It was very common for us to have movie nights, popcorn and candy. It was very common for her to want to ride her horse with her Aunt Kate. It was very common for her to want to do anything outdoors with her father, so long as her father was around. She watched him butcher animals. She watched him clear property. As long as Daddy was around, she was great with being dirty and being outside.
So that people are clear, or you and Jacob, would you agree with me, y'all live a country life?
Very much so.
And when you say butchering animal, Jacob's a bit of a hunter, right?
Yes.
I just don't want people to think that we're out, on the other side of Fort Worth doing that in the front yard, okay?
No.
So let's talk a little bit about you and Jacob. You and Jacob were young when you had Athena.
Very
And how
much
old
so.
were you?
I was 19 when I had Athena.
And Jacob was a little older than you?
Jacob was 23. He had just turned 23.
And I think we may have heard this. We heard from Ashley, Jacob's wife at the time. You and Jacob didn't stay together
No, we didn't.
permanently. But let me ask you, how do you feel you and Jacob were as parents for Athena?
There were rough moments, but we always had an agreement that those rough moments didn't need to enter into our children's lives. We co-parented, in my opinion, pretty dang well. Because as long as Athena's needs were met and she was happy, that was important to him and I.
Any doubts at all that you or Jacob or your family in Oklahoma or his family here in Texas absolutely loved Athena?
There is no doubt whatsoever that every single person that has ever met Athena, besides maybe one, absolutely loved Athena.
Is that the kid on the bus?
It's actually the defendant in this case. I would like to think that he doesn't love her. That kid on the bus may also not particularly care for her.
The one she smacked in the head with a water bottle.
Mommy did teach her that no means no.
Right. So independent?
She gets that from me.
Okay. And strong?
Physically, she gets that from her father.
Now, you told me about an event. It's actually a tragic event. Your mother died 4 or 5 years ago. Is that right?
It's been, it's been almost 8 years. This year will make 8.
8 years ago. And tell me what happened with regard to that. And I don't want to ask you about your mom's death, but I think it involves Athena, and I'd like you to tell the jury about that.
Well, it was Friday, December 28th of 2018. I had went to work early that morning, as I did all the time. And my mom wasn't supposed to die. She was just fine, but she used to keep Athena for me whenever I went to work. And she just died. But Athena, being Athena, I don't know how she knew. I didn't train her. I didn't teach her what death was. She hadn't had death in her life. But she ran out to my Nana's house, which would be her great-grandmother. And it's about an acre away. Each of these houses are on about an acre. And she went and got help. And the only reason we know that is because there's a ring camera outside of the house And she just kept telling my Nana, Grammy's dead. My Nana, being my Nana, didn't grab her phone before she left the house and couldn't get into my mom's phone because it had a code on it. So she sent Athena another acre away in the opposite direction to get more help. She was only 3.5.
So at 3.5 years old, she's toddling herself all over the place to try to help your mom.
Yes. Next to me, pretty positive my mom loved her more than anyone else in this world did.
Do you remember when you got the call and when you received the information that Athena had gone missing? Do you remember that time?
I do.
And where were you at that time when you got the information that she had just been missing?
I was in my house. My phone had died. And
Okay, folks, we're going to talk a little bit about what we just watched. I think this is the way we're going to do this video. We just heard this story about Athena is 3.5 years old, and she has the wherewithal to go for help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, her mom just tells this story about Athena's grandmother passing away, and it sounds like Athena might have been the one that found the body, and at 3.5 years old hadn't experienced death but knew something was wrong. And I think as she testifies and says Athena ran to, I think, the grandmother's house,
Right?
her Athena's great grandmother's house, and summons for help. And then her grandmother's mother, who had passed away, well, her grandmother's mother who came to see the grandmother, had left her phone. And so then Athena has to trek another acre to get to another neighbor's house to get help. But just the wherewithal of that little girl to be a part of helping and doing what she needed to do, and realizing that something wasn't right.
I mean, that says something. I mean, I don't know if my son at 3.5 years old would have had the presence of mind,
Right.
to be able. It says something about, just her. This little kid was smart.
She was smart, and it sounds like she was very loved too. Her mom says that the grandmother, apart from the mom, probably loved Athena more than anything else in the world. So you can tell, and even just with the testimony that we'll hear about the relationship of the parents and their co-parenting, I mean, I think Athena was a very loved girl by her parents and her family.
Absolutely. Okay, Zeke, you can kill our mics. We're going to listen to Athena now. Athena's mom now describe getting word that Athena has gone missing.
Jacob called my little sister, who was too far out from me. So she called my older sister, and my older sister came banging on the door like you would have thought the house was on fire. And I opened the door and she said, Athena's missing. And immediately I said, no, she's not. So I went and got my phone, and Jacob's name popped up on my phone.
So you knew something was not right.
Yes.
Now, how far is it from your house in Oklahoma to County Road 3573 that we've been talking about?
Typically, it's about a 2-hour drive.
And how fast did you make that drive on that particular day?
I made it within 45 minutes.
Now, let me ask you, did you go straight there? Or did you have a stop along the way?
Unfortunately, I let my car run pretty clear out of gas, and I said that I would get gas before work the next morning. So I had to stop and get gas in Comanche.
And so then you found your way this direction.
Yes, I did.
Some people will say that moms know when things happen. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
How do you know something wasn't right?
On my way down to Jacob's house, I stayed on the phone with him pretty well most of the way until I got to about Ryan, Oklahoma. And then it felt like I was dying. I couldn't breathe, but I knew I had to keep going. I almost tapped the brakes because I thought I was having a heart attack. But I just told myself that if I kept going, it would be okay and I would find her.
So long as mama can get there, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You get there, Athena's still missing.
Yeah.
What do you do in that time period between when she's missing and when we find out what happened? What do you do during that time period?
When I got there, an officer asked me who I was. I told him I was Athena's mom. He directed me back inside my Jeep and told me that they were bringing dogs out and that my scent could throw the dogs off. So I had to stay inside my Jeep.
And then during those next 2 days, what are you doing during those next 2 days?
At 4:00 in the morning on Saturday, December 1st, an officer had told me that they had taken away the dogs and I could get out of the vehicle. And I asked him, can I search myself? He said yes. So Ashley's dad, Jacob's dad, my uncle, and Jacob and I went out and searched all of Jacob's property and the surrounding properties, even though all of those people were probably sound asleep in their own beds, and we didn't ask permission. And later that day, when more volunteers had come out and more officers arrived, I had talked to a few different investigators throughout the time. I walked lineups. I walked that county road over and over and over again. I searched Jacob's ponds, but she wasn't there. And I'm not from that county, so I didn't know where else to go. And I didn't know where else to look. I just knew she wasn't there.
Heard from Sheriff Aiken that he had a meeting with you and Jacob, actually, and some of your family members at a church in Cottonville. Do you remember that meeting?
Yes, I do.
And I know this may be tough, but I think it's important. When you're told that Athena's no longer with us, what's your first reaction?
I wanted to tell Sheriff Aiken that he didn't know what he was talking about. I asked him if I could confirm that that was my daughter, and he told me no, because she looks too bad. And I went into a place of denial. I stopped breathing and I started to black out as I heard Ashley screaming. I knew it. I knew it was him.
At some point, you got to be a mom again, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we are listening to what I would call the worst moments of this mother's life. I mean, there's many horrible worst moments, but these are among the worst. Getting the word that Athena is missing, driving down from Oklahoma within 45 minutes, which is, I mean, I don't know how fast you'd have, running out of gas and getting there and, being told that they can't search yet because the dogs are going out, and then searching the pond, and then being told by the sheriff. You just feel this mother's pain.
You feel it. And what she says, and just the sheriff telling her, hey, you can't come out because your scent might throw the dogs off and everything. And so with that, by the time that they call the dogs off, it's 4 a.m. And she says that she and Athena's dad and his dad and other family members then start doing their own search, and they start walking the property. And she talks about not being familiar with the county, but walking everywhere that she figured she could. And she checked the ponds, and then she didn't know what else to do after that. And I just couldn't imagine, 4 o'clock in the morning, it's dark. You don't know what you're going to come across, what you're going to see, what you're looking for. Just the anguish of everything that this mom had to go through. I couldn't fathom it.
Well, and you can't wrap your mind around, I mean, at that point, she can't yet wrap her mind around, up until the time the sheriff tells her she knows something. Obviously it's quickly becoming clear that something horrible is happening, but to wrap your mind around the fact that someone has snatched your little girl and killed them. I can't even imagine what would go, how you would even come to grips with that.
Right.
That's just unimaginable.
Right. And she says what her first thoughts or first things that she says to the sheriff is that you're wrong about this, or surely this isn't right.
And wants to see her.
And then they tell her, well, you don't need to see her. You can't, because she just looks too bad. I mean, I couldn't fathom or imagine the pain that mom would go to. And she then said, and I quickly was in denial leading up to that and everything. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it gets any worse as a parent, really. If there is something worse as a parent, I don't know what it is.
I don't either. Okay, folks, we're going to continue listening to this video. Next up is going to be Maitland Gandy describing going to that funeral home and seeing her daughter's body for the first time. So let's take a listen.
At some point, you got to plan a funeral, don't you?
Yes, sir.
At some point, you got to see Athena for yourself. Is that right?
Yes.
Did that happen?
Yes. On Tuesday, December 6th of 2022, I was allowed to see Athena for the first time. I went in about an hour before I'd actually told Jacob to show up, because I didn't know what she would look like, and I didn't know how bad it would be. And I didn't want him to see our daughter like that. So I went in around 8 in the morning with just my dad. And her ears were messed up. And she had incision lines. And her chin was scraped up. And so we put her in a hospital gown because I didn't have clothes for her. And she was naked. And I searched her body looking for any reason that that wasn't my baby. And then we did her makeup so Jacob wouldn't have to see the discoloration and how bad it was.
You still got to be a mom, don't you?
Yes, always.
Always. I'm gonna make a guess that Athena didn't stay in that little gown very long, did she?
No, she did not. It wasn't pretty enough.
Tell me what mom does to go fix that.
Well, I wasn't from Wise County. I didn't know where to go or what to do, and I couldn't sleep. So I wandered around Walmart until I found a few dresses to pick from. And I wanted to make sure that she was just, when I got to her, she was so cold and she didn't like the cold. So I wanted to make sure that she was dressed. So I picked out clothes. I picked out socks and panties and shoes and leggings and dresses. And I wanted to make sure she had one of her bows. So I got her some bows.
It's a pretty consistent theme with her with the bow, wasn't it?
There's actually a joke that me and my cousin do. We have a child. I did have a child around the same age. But back in 2014, 2015, it was very common to put bows on little girls that were bigger than their head. And Athena just kind of adapted that and never grew out of it.
That's why we got this picture here.
Yeah.
Now, do you have another daughter?
I do.
And what's the age difference between your other daughter and Athena?
4 years and 7 months.
Now, I've asked before of witnesses to describe for me their favorite picture of your younger daughter and Athena. Do you have one?
Okay, so we're going to stop it right here. We want to talk about this scene, this moment. Maitland Gandy goes to the funeral home, and she has decided she wants to be there before Athena's dad because she doesn't want him to see his little girl like that.
Well, you say that now, man, just the strength of that mom, because, you know, like I told you, I have a daughter that's a month older than what Athena was. And the fact that the mom would want to not let the dad see his little girl in whatever state she was, boy, I mean, I don't know how that's not compelling to a jury to hear that.
It's selfless.
Oh, so sacrificial, right? Like it's just a selfless, let me endure seeing all this. And she talks about the incisions and the injuries on the chin and putting makeup on her for that. And you know, as she's describing the things that she gets for her because she knew that Athena didn't want to be cold and didn't like being cold, and she's naked and I want to get her clothes. And
initially she puts her in a gown.
right.
Because that's all they had.
That's all they had. And she talks about, well, I'm not familiar with Wise County, so I found a Walmart and I went and got her everything. You know, I went and got her socks and shoes. And the thing that stuck out to me hearing it again today is she talks about panties and bows. And I just started thinking of the body and getting panties and how the mother wanted to give her daughter dignity in a way,
dignity that Tanner had robbed
dignity
her
that
of.
Tanner did not allow her, to the point of even putting panties on her daughter and everything. And boy, I just think that this has been so compelling to just hear what she talks about of all the things that she had to go through.
And it's just as hard to listen to today as it was yesterday. I mean, I'm gutted just listening to this mom walk us through again the worst moments and the worst days of her life.
Yeah.
Okay, Zeke, we're gonna restart it. So she's now talking about her younger daughter. I think her name is Ryland, or she calls her Rye, and you know, just walking us through Athena's relationship with her and her decision about how she's going to handle Athena's death with her younger daughter. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
It was the first one I ever took of them together.
So that'd be right after your daughter was born.
Yes, sir.
And what's Athena doing in this picture?
She's holding Ryan, and she is beaming. She'd been asking me for a sibling for a year or more, and she finally got her. I didn't want her to be alone if something ever happened to me. Because when Mom died and Athena was asking for a sibling, I looked around and I said, hey, at least I've got my sisters.
Let me ask you about your daughter. How old was your second daughter? Athena was your first.
Yes, she was.
She also Jacob's first too.
Yes, she was.
And how old was your second daughter, Riley, when Athena was born? When Athena was born, I want to get this exact.
When Ryan was born,
Yeah, when Riley was born, how old was Athena?
Athena was 4.5.
And then when Athena was killed, how old was Riley?
We had Athena's funeral on December 9th of 2022. I got her ashes the next morning on December 10th of 2022. And that was also Ryland's 3rd birthday. And I brought her sister home. It just wasn't the way I was supposed to.
How'd you go about talking to little sister about what happened to her big sister?
I didn't know how to tell her, and I didn't think I was strong enough to tell her. So I lied to her for a long time. I would tell her that she was just staying with her daddy for a little bit longer. And when she asked to FaceTime her or to call her, I would tell her that she was at school or she was sleeping or she was I'm sorry. I would lie to her. Until about a year ago, she didn't know the whole truth. And, but I didn't tell her that Athena was dead and that she had been killed until Athena's, or what should have been Athena's 8th birthday.
So let me ask you about that. Today, how old would Athena be today?
She would be 10.
And if I remember correctly, she has a birthday upcoming, isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we just listened to Maitland talk about her younger daughter and that she brought home Athena's ashes on the 3rd birthday for the younger daughter. And she said, you know, it just, I like the symmetry here, right?
Yeah.
The symbolism, like that you're bringing home Athena's ashes on that day.
Right. A day that really you should be celebrating, right? It's your daughter's 3rd birthday, and how that is just going to be different probably for a while for her. Yeah. Of just remembering that, yes, on this day that I should be celebrating, there's also death and the realization of death that I dealt with on your birthday. And yeah, that's again, affected forever because of that.
And then, of course, she decides not to tell Ryland about it. Of course, at that time, she's about, I think, 3.5. So, and I can completely understand that decision because she's a toddler.
Mm-hmm.
How do you explain to a toddler, a preschooler, that what has happened to your older sister? It boggles the mind. And, you know, she says she told her about a year ago, and that she told her that Athena had been killed. She didn't tell her until Athena's 8th birthday.
I don't know how you do that, right? Like the fact that she was able to delay in telling her, and probably rightfully so. I don't know how you, probably for her, how do you get to the point of acknowledging to your youngest that this person, she said that they were super, super close, how you break that to your youngest child. You know, you're already dealing with the death of your child, and now how do I also bring disappointment and finality and all those things to a young kid?
Well, and to some extent, telling her younger sister would almost be like a point of acceptance, right?
Oh yeah,
Because grief is complicated.
right.
You don't. There's not some one size fits all approach to grief. Because I'm sure even today, I have no doubt they still grieve.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you ever get over the loss of a child, and that pain, you know, comes through as you listen to this mother. But the act of telling Ryland would be another rung in that acceptance of what's happened.
I think so. You know, just that she was able to have I don't want to say an excuse, but a reason while she's in school, she's sleeping, she's staying longer at her dad's. I think some of it to protect her daughter, but probably to protect her a little bit too, because she's not totally having to acknowledge the finality that she will not see Athena again. But how she does that, and to the point where she finally does have to tell her, just a long list of just struggles and things that this family's had to endure,
Right.
you know, with the actions of Tanner Horner.
Absolutely. So, folks, if you're joining us late, I just will explain what's going on. Right now, we are replaying Maitland Gandy's testimony from yesterday. At the moment, the jury is listening to this audio and video from the delivery truck showing Tanner Horner kidnapping and killing Athena Strand. The judge decided, rightly so, that we would not stream that would not be aired publicly in any way, shape, or form. Rebecca Lopez, our senior crime and justice reporter, and Terry Bentley Hill, another attorney, another fabulous attorney, is in court right now. They are watching this, a job that I do not envy them. And when it is over, they will come out. The video, I don't know exactly how long it is, but it is quite lengthy. It is definitely more than an hour. Could be more than 2 hours, but as soon as it is over and they can come out and talk to us, and it could be that there's a lunch break in the middle of that. We're still kind of, again, with court, things move in different ways, but we're gonna, you know, keep the stream up as we wait for Rebecca and Terry to come out and talk to us about what they're hearing and seeing. And then after we play Athena's mother's testimony, we will replay the father's testimony. We heard from Athena's father first thing this morning. He also a quieter person, but a strong presence, and his pain is also gut-wrenching. So let's just continue to listen to Athena's mom.
When would she turn 11?
May 23rd.
2026.
Yes, sir.
Should be a fourth grader. Is that right?
She would be a fourth grader. She'd be getting ready to go into her 5th grade year.
During the course of this case, have you ever missed a hearing?
One.
And why do you make it a point to be at every hearing that we've had in this case?
Because I had to cover up handprint bruises around my daughter's neck. And because she no longer has a voice. And I want people to know that she's not just some story. She's not just some number. She's not just some picture you see in a headline. She was loved. She is loved. And she is missed. And she was real. And she had a life. And she wanted to live. And no one can take that from her. Not a single person can take that from her. And I will be her face, and I will be her voice, and I will make sure that every person in this world knows that she was loved and that she wanted to live. And we want her in our lives.
You've been getting evidence, information about this case since the beginning.
Yes.
And you've been sitting here and you've heard most all the evidence in this case.
Yes.
But in the very beginning, what kinds of things were you being given? What kind of information were you being given in the beginning?
I read Tanner Horner's arrest affidavit where he said he hit her with a truck and he panicked. So he attempted to break her neck and then it didn't work. So he strangled her.
Do you have a chance to look at the autopsy or anything else in this case?
When it came out, I read it. I drove down here the moment that my attorney contacted me and said it was being released. Got pulled over in Bowie for that one because I wanted to read it before the media released it to the public.
Now, if I remember correctly, you've got a little bit of medical training and knowledge, don't you?
Yes, sir.
What stood out to you when you read that information?
That there were no items of personal belongings listed with her. And that the only thing that was with her was the hands, or the bags around her hands. And I knew that that meant that she didn't have anything on her when she was found.
And how far along into this process was that?
That was in the summer of 2023.
And I'm just going to ask you, how did you react to getting that information in the summer of 2023?
I didn't want to believe it. I told myself that I was wrong. I told myself that y'all just do stuff different down here in Texas. And because I'd rather be wrong about that than be right.
Ranger Espinoza has, we talked a little bit about some videos in this case. Excuse me. Did you have any chance to?
Okay, so we're going to talk about what we just heard. So the prosecutor asks her why she's gone to every hearing, every single hearing. Why is that important? And she says, basically that Athena no longer has a voice, and she's going to be her voice because Athena wanted to live.
Yeah. And I think it's really telling of her mom, because when the prosecutor's talking about every hearing, just for the viewers so that they kind of have an understanding, you might have a hearing date set for something, and it doesn't mean that the attorneys are even going to go into the courtroom or talk to the judge. It could just be the prosecutor and the defense attorney having a conversation about something. And a lot of times, whether it's prosecutors or defense attorneys will say, hey, family, you don't have to worry about being here. Nothing's going to happen. There's not going to be anything, or substantial with the case.
They call them like announcements. Sometimes
and
the
things like that.
Defendant's not even in the courtroom for those sorts of hearings.
Sure, but she has made it to every one of the non-important hearings, right? Like every one of the hearings, because as she said, she wants to continue to be a voice and speak for her daughter. And again, just testimony of a mom advocating for her daughter and being the voice of her daughter.
Absolutely. And then of course we, hear her, describe this affidavit, reading this affidavit, and then recounting the story, the lie that Tanner Horner told, that he had hit Athena and he panicked and that he'd attempted to break her neck, so he strangled her. And just listening to her even say the words out of her mouth of what Tanner Horner claimed happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's one of those deals that if the offense itself wasn't painful to the family, if the details of all that weren't painful, it's almost like she's saying even hearing the lies or getting additional lies just continues to put more pain in the situation, unnecessary pain that the family shouldn't have to go through. If he was upfront and honest, but no, you're going to spin something or say something else that causes them even more pain, because they see, I guess at that point, she probably, and I would assume that she knew that a lot of it was lying or lies, but what he would say and to what extent he would go to give a story.
And then she talked about the autopsy, and she has some sort of medical training, and I'm not sure what that is, but that she drove down and that she is making sure that she gets the autopsy before it's released publicly. And I can certainly respect that. And that, she's struck by the fact that Athena has no items of personal belongings and that it's only the bags around her hands, which means that Athena was naked, and that the bags around her hands would be what they've put around her hands when they recovered her body from the water.
Sure. Yeah. So I think with that, this one thing that kind of surprised me was, okay, so summer of 2023, I believe. So we're probably looking at about 6 months later is when she gets the autopsy report. And I totally understand her wanting to read it and hear about it before media and it just public, and she's watching TV and they're starting to talk about things that she didn't have any knowledge of. But her intuitiveness to read it and say, hey, that doesn't sound right. She had no personal belongings. She just had the bags that they put around Athena's hands to preserve any kind of evidence, if there was DNA evidence and things like that. And just, it sounds like maybe when the sheriffs told her about them finding Athena, they didn't tell her that everything about the condition that she was in, the fact that she was naked. And so for a mom to read this, and then she says, well, then I interpreted that she was naked and that she didn't have anything belonging to her. And I think what you get out of that from her mom is aloneness, the fact that there's nothing that she would have valued, maybe a favorite pair of jeans or a favorite t-shirt or something that she had that she adored or that she loved, but she was discarded as and thrown out or thrown away, as Tanner says. And I just think that just
Tossed,
really hit her.
tossed
Away.
He used the word tossed over and over and
Yeah.
over in his interviews with law enforcement.
Yeah. So I just think that, again, no parent should ever have to go through that. And in a public manner as well. She's dealing with all this stuff as reports are getting shown, because obviously it's a story of interest and everything like that. But I really respect, again, the fact that she wanted to find out. Let me read this so that I'm not caught off guard whenever this all becomes public. And then just her response to it, you know, when she says, well, maybe y'all do things differently in Texas. You know,
I chuckled at that.
Yeah,
actually.
I thought that was one of those things. I get it. But she also then says that she didn't want to believe that was, you know, she thought that because she didn't want to believe that her daughter could be found totally naked with nothing
because
of
he
her own
robbed her
personal
of even her
belongings.
clothes.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to continue to listen. Right now, the jury is listening to this audio and video from the delivery van when he kidnaps and kills Athena. Again, we're not streaming that per the judge's order, and also rightfully so. As I've said repeatedly, Rebecca Lopez and Terry Bentley Hill are currently listening to that for us. And when they either have a break in it or they finish airing it, then they will come out and talk to us about what they've heard and seen. So let's continue listening to Athena's mom.
View or look at any portion of any videos in this case?
I did.
How much of it were you able to look at?
Maybe a minute, maybe two. I can't. And I'm very sorry to all of the innocent people that do have to watch that. I am so sorry. I'm sorry to you, and I'm sorry to y'all too. Because none of us, not Athena, not me, not anyone in this room besides Tanner Horner, asked for what's on that video. And Athena definitely didn't. I really am sorry.
We've been here a little over a week and a half. We've been here, seen some of the evidence in the case. What is it that sticks out to you? What do you want to know?
I know it sounds stupid, and I know it sounds selfish. I know he will never tell the truth. But I want to know where my daughter's shirt is. I want to know everything. But he won't tell me that. And I highly doubt that he cared enough to pay attention to when my daughter took her last breath. Because I brought her into this world, James. And I know when she took her first, I was there for that. I was there when she took her first steps and said her first word. But I wasn't there when she took her last. So I want to know where her shirt is. Because maybe he could give me that much grace.
I've got a couple more questions for you, maybe. Athena's still in your life, isn't she?
Athena is in my life every day.
Every day.
Every day.
And I think I would be missing something if I didn't point out that you tend to have an affinity for a certain color. Would that be right?
For her, yes, sir.
And is that Athena's color too?
This is her favorite color. Yes.
Not Mom's favorite color.
No, sir.
You keep her both. You got your pink.
Yes, sir.
Do you talk to Athena sometimes?
I talk to her every day.
What do you say to her when you talk to her?
I tell her that I'm sorry, that I wasn't there to protect her and to stop him. I tell her that I love her. And I talk to her about Rye and what she's doing in life and how much she loves and misses her. And I tell her about you and about Pat and about Michelle and about my attorneys and how y'all are working really hard to make sure that she's not forgotten and that she didn't just die and that we'll get justice for her.
You know, we hear people say that if they just had a few more minutes to talk to somebody that they no longer have. You heard that before?
I've thought about it a lot.
I'm asking. If you had those few minutes to talk with Athena right now, today, sitting in this room, what would you tell her?
I'd tell her I'm sorry. And I would tell her how much she means to me and her daddy and to her sisters. And how much she is loved. And how much we want her. And just, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I am that I didn't protect her.
You know how hard it was being here, Madeline? And I want to thank you for being here and opening up your world to us today. That's what it's showing.
Cross-examination.
Ms. Gandy, I'm very sorry for your loss. I'm not going to ask any questions today. Thank you very much.
May this witness be excused. Thank you.
Okay, so we just heard Maitland Gandy's testimony. We replayed the entire thing, and she was talking about the video. This video that we know is currently being played in court, where she says she could only watch a minute or two, and she apologizes. She says, "I'm very sorry to all the innocent people, basically, who have to watch it." And she apologizes to the defense, the prosecution, presumably the jurors, anybody that's going to see this. And then she talks about how that is essentially addresses Tanner Horner, that he's the only one behind what's on that video. And it just, that's hard. And then of course she goes on and but go ahead and talk about a little bit of that.
You know, what really hit me with her was that, and as she says that I'm so sorry, and you can see that she's emotional, and I can't imagine even watching a minute or 2 minutes of it. But as she says it, she looks at the jury when she's talking to them. She looks at the prosecutor, and then she looks at the defense. And to me, that just, it was so telling of just who she is. Like, you know, she really, truly is sorry. And the empathy that she even has for Tanner Horner's defense attorneys, right? Because at the end of the day, they didn't want to be in this position, defending him. They're doing their job. But the fact that she would even respect, hey, I understand you're doing your job and I'm apologizing to y'all because you shouldn't even have to see this either. And she says the only person that really wanted this to happen was Tanner Horner. And it's his handiwork that is making everybody else have to suffer
go through
and go
this.
through all that.
Yeah. And then she goes on and, the shirt. You know, that might have been the thing yesterday that broke me the most. I mean, a lot of it broke me, but, you know, listening to it again, the whole thing just is hard. But the desire to need to know, where is my daughter's shirt?
I think just anything for regarding her daughter, right? Like anything that would be a tie to her and her daughter. Would you give me the grace to tell me that, to show me that? But as she says, you probably didn't even care enough to even pay attention to when she took her last breath, you know?
Yeah.
Again, just that mom and her strength, her quiet strength. You can see the fierceness underneath her too.
Mm-hmm.
But if a jury doesn't just love her, respect her, appreciate her.
I love her.
Yeah, it's so compelling how just her demeanor and all the way, because sometimes you get in these situations where a loved one wants to say whatever and they're mad and just vengeance, and I want to say this and I don't care if it causes a mistrial because I'm getting my anger out. And she's been totally appropriate the whole time. And just, I think that there's just those sense just for human decency. She's a very decent person, and even her empathy for people that are put in a situation that aren't. I just think that that's going to just reverberate with that jury.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course, just what she tells her. I tell her that I'm sorry, that I wasn't there to protect her and stop him. I tell her that I love her. I talk to her about Rye. I tell her about you, and then she refers to the prosecution team, and I'm assuming the investigators that are investigating it. I mean, just her level of empathy for others.
Yeah,
it just shines through.
It shines through. I mean, you just see she just seems so genuine, just a truly genuine person. She seems appreciative. She seems appreciative to all those that are fighting for her daughter, that are trying to get her daughter justice, that are fighting for the family, you know. And it is just one of those deals. I mean, I've seen a lot of trials. I've seen a lot of family members get up there and testify to different things, and every situation's different, and there's empathy and things like that. But she really is one of the just truest, sincere. I think it just comes off so real, and I was just really, really impressed with her. And even as you observe her and see, if you've seen her through the trial, you know, for me personally, I was just like, man, the mom has pink hair. What's that about? You know, she's sitting in the gallery and I can see this pink hair.
Jacket and the pink
and then
hair.
when she explains why that is, I'm just like, oh, it's not even your favorite color. She says it's not even my favorite color, but it was Athena's favorite color. And it's just, she is just one of those just remarkable is kind of an understatement. And I think it just
I don't even know we can fully explain
I think it just
but
totally comes out with just who she is. She's a remarkable woman.
Absolutely. And so now, let me just to update everybody, the jury has been listening to this audio and video of Athena's kidnapping, and we think they're a little over an hour in. We're you know, again, we don't have a view inside that courtroom. Rebecca Lopez is in that courtroom, but she doesn't have her phone, so she can't text us, and she needs to be listening anyway. And so we expect the jury to take a break at noon, and I would expect that Rebecca will come out. Her and Terry Bentley Hill, an attorney who is with her, will come out and talk to us about what they've heard and seen. But while we wait for that, let's take a listen to Athena's father, who was the first witness to testify this morning.
Go ahead and state your name for the record. Strand. Okay, speak up. Speak up, Strand.
That microphone closer to you. Okay. And the other one too. There you go.
What's your relationship to Athena Strand?
I'm Athena's father.
Are you a little nervous here today?
Yes.
Have you been nervous for public speaking in general?
Yes.
Is there a time in school that they made you read something and you said no?
Yeah.
Can you tell the jury what you did?
I would halfway take a 0 instead of talking in front of people.
Okay, you got to speak up. Pretend you're at a basketball game watching the last second shot. Go ahead.
You're a lot more soft spoken than Athena's mom. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. We've talked a lot about the defendant, Tanner Horner. Do you want to spend a little time this morning talking about your daughter, Athena Strand?
Yeah.
I'm going to have Pat Berry publish a picture from State's Exhibit 287. Do you recognize this picture?
I do.
Is that your daughter?
Yes.
Can you tell me what day that picture was taken?
First day of school.
What grade was she in?
First grade.
Athena has a little bit of a girly side, but did she have any issues being dirty or playing outside?
Not at all.
I'm going to ask you to tell the jury a little bit about one of your favorite memories and favorite pictures that you have of Athena with the horse trough. Can you tell them about that?
Yes. It was springtime, so the water was still a bit chilly. And I walked outside and she was filling up the water trough and brought out a bunch of her Barbies and toys and filled up the water trough with them and was sitting in it when her dress and cowgirl boots.
Did you actually end up taking a picture of Athena?
I did. She was shivering but having fun.
When you took that picture, was she in or outside of that water trough?
Outside of it, gathering more toys.
Soaking wet.
Yes.
What did you and Athena like to do together?
Mostly outside. We'd go camping, hiking, going to the lake.
Athena was 7, so what was she into at the time?
As every little girl was, Frozen, and unicorns and mermaids, and getting dirty.
She liked to sing the Frozen songs.
24/7.
You mentioned Barbies. Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm showing you what has already been admitted as Exhibit 153, I believe. Do you recognize these?
I do.
Was this Athena's Christmas gift?
Yes.
Is this the last thing that you'll offer your daughter?
Yes.
Your Honor, can I publish these to the jury?
Sure.
These are the You Can Be Anything Barbies. Tina did not get that opportunity. She went missing on November 30th of 2022. Can we talk about that day?
Yes.
How was that day for you when it started?
It was a good day. Went to work and came back a little bit after they got home from school.
Did you see Athena when she got home from school?
Yes.
What were y'all doing?
Just hanging out for a little while. I wanted to be with the kids before I went out on my hunting trip with my dad.
Do you recall about what time you went on your hunting trip?
It was just before, a little bit before dark, I think.
When you were leaving, did you say bye to Athena?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury about that?
I told all the kids and Athena bye and gave her a hug. And then after I was, or as I was leaving, I was backing up, she ran up to the truck because she wanted to give me another hug. And I told her not to run up on me while I'm backing up in the truck. And yeah, gave her another hug and told her I love her.
That was your final moments with Athena alive.
Yes.
At some point, were you notified she went missing?
Yes.
And what did you do?
I was, of course, a little nervous, but I thought maybe she was just playing hide and seek or something because she was really good at that.
Thank you. Told me a story about her hiding in a closet somewhere. Where was she hiding?
Yes, we were all playing hide and seek, and she hid in the linen closet with everything in front of her. And we were searching for like 20 minutes.
So when you first got notified, you thought she was hiding?
Yeah.
Did you participate in searching for Athena?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
I searched each day whenever they let me, and I thought maybe I'd be a little bit better at it because I've been on that property since I was 8 years old, and I know the woods like the back of my hand.
You didn't find Athena on your property though, did you?
No.
When were you told that Athena's body was recovered?
On the second in the Cottondale Church in the room.
What were y'all doing in that church?
That was just kind of like the middle ground for everybody to meet up and rehydrate and eat. They were taking care of everybody that was a part of the search, and they let the family stay there.
How was that for you?
It was nerve-wracking and hard. Still had hope, but
You mentioned that you've been on the land since you were 8 years old.
yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your home and the land that you live on?
We moved there back in 2000 when I was 8, and it's on 10 acres. And now me and my brother both live on it. He lives down the hill from me.
Who all lived with you in your part of the property?
It was me, Ashley, Athena, Alice, and Yursa at the time. YRSA.
How old is your son?
She's 5 now,
And Alice?
14.
And Athena, would have been 11 now?
Yes.
Do you still have a place at your home that you talk to Athena?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury about that?
There's a fruitless pear tree that Alice and Athena would always climb. That was just kind of like their spot where they hung out, and they would also gather toys from their room and hang in that tree like ornaments.
Talk a little bit about your role, as a man and how it affected you. Why don't you tell the jury a little bit about that? Athena was taken from your home, your property that you've been at since you were 8 years old. You weren't there. How did that make you feel?
It made me feel horrible, like, like I should have done something or been there. I wasn't there to protect them like I should be, like a father's role.
That create you a lot of guilt.
Yes.
How did you handle your trauma and your pain from this?
Pretty much self-destruction.
Can you tell the jury a little bit about that?
I just kind of held everything in, and it just broke me.
Did you turn to alcohol?
Yes.
What about your marriage?
It ruined my marriage.
How did it affect your ability to eat and sleep and normal day-to-day activities?
I couldn't sleep, and I would only eat like every 7 days. And I lost like 50 pounds.
We talked earlier about Athena's siblings. So we had Yursa, and we had her stepsister Alice, right? And then she also has a sister Rylan, her mom made up daughter. Talk a little bit about Athena and Alice. What was their relationship like?
They were just best friends. They loved that they were sisters, but not real sisters, they would say. So they were just best friends.
Has this affected Alice?
Yes.
Did y'all all go into therapy?
Yes.
How is Alice doing now?
She recently went back to therapy because she's been having nightmares.
Nightmares about what?
Everything that she's having to hear about and what happened to her sister.
The defendant wrote a letter to the family and to law enforcement. Did you believe that letter?
Not at all.
What do you miss most about Athena?
Just her laugh and her spirit. And she loved everybody.
Is there anything that you want this jury to understand about were lost in this process?
I just hope that the jury and the justice system will make the right decision.
I'll pass it as judge.
Cross-examination.
No, Your Honor. Mr. Gandy, Mr. Strand, we have no questions for you. We are terribly sorry for your loss.
May this witness be excused.
Okay, so we were just listening to Jacob Strand describe the horror of what's happened, the loss he's felt, how it had affected him. It ruined his marriage. He lost 50 pounds, going for long periods of time without being able to eat, and describing going to this pear tree to talk to his daughter. It's just absolutely unimaginable. I will give you guys an update. We know that court has broke for lunch. We are waiting for Rebecca Lopez and Terry Bentley Hill, the attorney who's up there with Rebecca, to come on and talk about what they've seen and heard. And right now they're working on setting up that shot. So I expect them any moment, and we will be able to hear exactly, hear what they heard and saw, and just the reaction of jurors. Watching. Oh, Lopez is ready. So, Rebecca, I'm gonna toss it on over to you, and I'm gonna let you guys talk about what you saw and heard.
Well, Tanya, that by far is probably one of the most emotional and heart-wrenching things I've ever heard in a courtroom. The family did leave. The mom and father and some of the family members left and did not listen to it. And then the judge also asked the gallery if anybody cannot make it through the next, through this entire video, then you may want to go ahead and leave right now, because he warned everyone. And it is, you basically hear Tanner Horner torturing this little girl. We still have 30 more minutes of this video before they broke for lunch, and the judge told us there's still another 30 more minutes of graphic video. But you see them first walk up to the vehicle. She's following him into the van, and then he lifts her up and puts her in the van, and she's saying, where are we going? And Terry, I'm gonna let you also kind of talk to what you saw. Mm-hmm.
Hey, we're struggling to hear Terry. Is there a little bit something wrong with her audio?
No, it might just be because we're sharing our ear pods. Can you not hear?
No, I can't.
Okay, let me just see if that. Can you hear her now, Tanya? Okay. Tanya, sorry, we're having some difficulty here. We're gonna take off the ear pods, I think.
Yeah. These are the folks. This is the reality of technology. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can you hear us now, Tanya?
Yes. Go ahead.
So, of course, the story that he.
You guys are still cutting out. I feel like we gotta.
She walked to the van with him. He put her in. He shut the door. She asked him, "Where are we going? What are you doing? Are you a kidnapper?" It was almost like a conversation for a while, wasn't it, Rebecca?
Yeah, and he's just chit-chatting with her, asking her, where do you go to school? How old are you? And at one point he tells her, she says, why are you doing this? And he says, because you're pretty. And he says, you know that, don't you? And then they drive around for a while. She keeps saying, where are you going? And then he stops the vehicle, and that's when it gets very graphic. Tanya, at one point, he tells her to take off her shirt. And she says, why? And he says, he doesn't really answer that. You can't really hear what he says. But then she says, "My mom says somebody shouldn't be doing this to me, and you shouldn't be doing this to me."
Right, yeah. My mom said, I can't do this to other people and you can't do it to me either. So, what I think is interesting is that the state spent a lot of time yesterday proving up that DNA evidence or trying to bring that in. And I think it's going to be very clear that there was some very sexual deviant things going on. Of course, by this point, we can't see, we can only hear what is going on. But she asks him several times, "What are you doing?" The poor child says, "Ouch, ouch, ouch," multiple times. Asks him again, "What are you doing?" The point being is that we still have 30 minutes left of this audio, and this is about an hour's worth of torture that he has put her through. It's shocking because it gets quiet, and then we all assume because you can hear the struggle, and we all assume, yes, and we can all assume that she's passed, and then all of a sudden we'll hear her gasp, and we'll hear her cry, and we'll hear her moan, and then it'll get quiet.
And then he'll pull over. Like he at one point he does take off, and then he hears her, so he pulls over, and then Tanya, you hear stomping or slamming, like he's trying to hurt her more, and then he takes off. And then the most eerie thing is at one point Jingle Bell Rock comes on, because remember this is around Christmas, and she is crying. She is, you can hear her crying, and he's just singing. He starts singing Jingle Bell Rock, and then she's crying. Goes, "Shut up!" He tells her multiple times, "Shut up! If you don't shut up, I'm going to come back there and hurt you more.
Yeah.
You need to shut up." I mean, he tells her to shut up several times.
What's eerie is that he turns on his flashers, and it's a FedEx truck. How many times have we driven by FedEx trucks, right, in our own neighborhoods? Well, he's turned on his flashers, and you can hear traffic pass by them. And I'm thinking those drivers had no idea what horror was going on in that van. It's unlike any, and the jury, they're not only crying, they are sobbing. Some of them are sobbing.
And they're glaring at him, and he's sitting there. At one point, he's just like this, holding his hands to his face, and he's just looking down. I mean, I don't know, Terry. I don't know how the defense gets past this. I mean, those jurors were very emotional.
Well, I think the part of the mitigating evidence that the defense is going to try to bring in, I don't know how it can negate the decisions that this man clearly made, because at first, it was questionable whether or not he had hurt her. So he put her in the van and, didn't know what to do. And he was confused and he made bad decisions. No, it's very calculated. And he definitely used this child for some kind of sexual gratification.
Yes, he did.
And
you can hear that. You can hear it. You can hear it on the audio.
Yes, even though there wasn't an accusation in the indictment, it is clear that there was something sexual going on. Plus, we also know that there was DNA found on her body. And so I think that it's going to be very difficult for any defense expert to come in with mitigating evidence, whether it's because he grew up with a lot of trauma, he was an fetal alcohol syndrome, or whatever the case may be, because his mother drank when he was in the womb, whether he has autism, whether he has multiple personality disorder, which they now call really something completely different, or whether he's a sociopath or a psychopath. I don't think that a defense expert can change the way this trial is going to go. And that is coming from just watching this jury and hearing for ourselves what he put her through.
It's so haunting, Tanya, because when he's walking her to the van, I can't hear what they're talking. And by the way, he does drop off the Barbies first, and then he drops off the package, and then you see him, and when he first pulls over, you see him kind of looking around, almost like he does scope her out, like he sees her. You can't really see her at that point, but then you see her following him, and then him hoisting her up into that truck, and then into the van, and then she's asking, where are we going? Like she's going, initially she's just wondering, like, where are we going?
Right.
And like, no big deal at first, but then she realizes at some point that something's wrong.
Well, and you want to talk about calculated and premeditated. There are 2 cameras on this FedEx van. There is a dash cam, which is very similar to a police dash cam, where it projects out in front of the van. He covered that up immediately. That we never saw any video from that once he got to Athena's house. Then after he brought her into the van, brought her into that area, we've seen the picture of her standing there while he's driving. At that point, shortly thereafter, he covers that camera.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what's interesting is, Rebecca, you remember he walked around that van and he looked into the passenger side window like he was scoping out the cameras. So it's totally premeditated. It's totally premeditated. This is not some person who freaked out and made bad decisions. To me, it looks very premeditated.
And we certainly don't see some alter ego come out while he is doing this to Athena.
Right.
It is very deliberate, and he knows exactly what he's doing.
Well, he's tortured her. He tortured her. And, they claim in the indictment that she could have died by suffocation, strangulation, or blunt force trauma to the head, stomping. We heard it.
You hear it.
And she's still alive. She's still alive.
She's still up. And we again, the judge says there's still 30 more minutes. So we know from the opening statements that the prosecutor says you hear him over and over and over and over again attempting to kill her and choke her and take her life. And that's what we are hearing, because just as we think, she's passed away, you hear her gasping and crying and screaming, moaning. And it is awful time.
And the defendant's face is this far from the defense table. I mean, he is leaning over with his face just inches away from that table. Because, and you know what I thought? This is just my impression, is that the audio is playing. There's no video, but it's video in his head.
Oh yeah.
He is seeing all of that in his head. And but again, a person, he is totally competent. There's no issue about competency. This man knows exactly what is going on, and he's not just out of it. He knows what's happening. He knows what he did. He's singing Jingle Bell Rock with a child screaming in the back of the van.
That was the word, because the whole thing is terrible. But when the Jingle Bell Rock comes on and she's screaming the entire time, and then he starts singing over her screaming, and then keeps telling her shut up while Jingle Bell Rock is playing, and he's singing like nothing's happened. It is the most awful thing I've ever heard in a courtroom.
And I have to say, just as we're watching different actors in the courtroom, we clearly saw the emotions from the jury, and they're taking notes as well. Some of them are taking notes, but there was emotion from both sides of the table. The prosecutors were emotional. The defense attorneys were emotional. This is not easy for either side. And I know that I'm thinking that Tanner has, according to testimony, attempted suicide several times in his life. And I'm as Rebecca said, it makes you wonder, this is in the courtroom, it makes you wonder if the defense wouldn't just rest after this, because it's just so bad. However, those defense attorneys have a job that they have to do, and I admire them. It's hard. They're going to do their job, but I would not be surprised if he didn't say, I'm done. I mean, if he's truly someone who is remorseful or regrets what he did, and You know, he's already been suicidal in the past. It makes me wonder if he would tell his lawyers, I'm done. But I know that they will continue with their case and bringing their experts because that is what they're required to do. But it's not easy on them.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. I cannot imagine what it was like for you and everybody else in that courtroom that heard that. Just listening to you describe it, I personally feel physically ill. I don't know if Jingle Bell Rock will ever be the same again.
Right.
No.
And so I am horrified. And thank you for telling us about it and explaining it to people. And Keith, do you have anything you want to add?
Probably a lot. I mean, wow. You know, I think the thing that really, as Rebecca and Terry were describing it, you know, the questions that she asked, hey, where are we going? What are you doing? Are you a kidnapper? I mean, so it's the stranger danger, what we teach our kids. She's processing all this. Unfortunately, it's too late because she's already in the van. But for that to happen, and I could only imagine as the realization's coming to her, like how crazy that is. But I tell you what, his response when y'all were describing that, you know, how he says, well, but I did this because you're pretty. You know that, right? Oh, my goodness. If the jury isn't livid at that point, I mean, and the prosecution, you know, I think with the DNA, we wondered, you know, well, is it really, does it show something? And now we totally know why they put all that stuff in and what was going on. And, you know, Terry, you explained it well, like regarding just what was going on, the play-by-play kind of what she's saying, what he's doing and everything. So
Right. Immediately after he says to her, take your shirt off, and she went, why?
She tells him no. I mean, she
Yeah.
says she does what her mom has told her to do. No, my mom says you're not supposed to be doing this to me.
Yeah, and then she asked him several times, what are you doing? What are you doing? Well, as adults, we can assume we know what he was doing.
Yeah.
And she was confused and perplexed. She had no idea what was going on. And you know, I just, to hear her, you can hear the strangulation. And then you can hear her gasp later on as she is, I don't know, because I'm not a doctor. I don't know how she can be revived from that. And he's clearly not reviving her, as far as I know.
No, he continues to inflict more pain on her, and then gets angry because she's crying.
She won't shut up.
Yeah.
That's what he said. Shut up.
I mean, multiple times.
Do you want me to stop and come back there
and hurt you more or worse?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is deliberate. It is premeditated. It is calculated. It is, there's no confusion about it. He froze and panicked. No, he did not freeze and panic. No, not at all.
No, this is evil on a level that's just painful to listen to. Well, we're going to take a break for about a half an hour. We understand that court is going to resume at 1:00, and
yes,
that video will continue to play. We will again not be able to live stream during that. Keith and I will be back at 1, and then we will see you and Terry after y'all finish watching the video. And thank you again for doing this. We appreciate it.
Sure.
Thanks.
See you, Keith.
This has been horrible. I thought it was very important that I share this because I found a stream that gave me the right to share this part of the sentencing phase. And to me, it's so important because so many people just kind of shrug it off that this kind of stuff really does happen to people. And it could happen to your kid. playing in their own yard where they should have the right to play. And we can't even trust a delivery truck bringing something to drop off at your home. Last week, I played a video on my Thursday night show, After Hours, a couple of videos about fake UPS drivers, fake Uber drivers, fake FedEx coming to the door, banging on the door, and as soon as you opened it, they forced their way in and assault the family and rob them, things like that. And I try to tell people, don't have to answer the door when UPS comes, okay? And it's sad that we have to basically have cameras all over our property just to protect what we have on our own property from total strangers coming and taking what doesn't belong to them. And the sad fact is that this person just took a child, and before Christmas, just after he delivered a gift for her, and not caring, because all he cared about was his own selfish needs, what he wanted for himself, to abuse himself while he was abusing a young 7-year-old who had no idea what the heck was going on. But she knew. She started to realize that this guy's taking me, he's kidnapping me. And she had just learned that, because earlier in the testimony was from one of her teachers that said they had just had that class where they were trying to help the kids understand that bad people will come. They may look like everyone else. You know, it could be a bus driver. It could be the gardener. It could be a guy from your church. It can be anyone. They don't look like monsters. They just look like a regular people. And it's up to us to tell our kids to not go anywhere with anyone that they don't know. Period. Even if they know them, if they're not with their parents and their mother or father didn't tell them they should go, they should never go with anyone. And it's sad that we're there in the world now that a kid can't ride their bike or play on their scooter or play ball with their dog in the front yard without an adult that actually loves them being in their yard with them. It's just heartbreaking. They can't go to the park. They can't do anything. Our children are at war against people like this guy, Tanner Horner, that believes that the world is theirs and they could take whatever they want, whenever they want, without any consequences. And this happened in 2022, and we're just now seeing it on the news and stuff. And this happened in Texas. It's sad because the news doesn't think this kind of stuff's important to talk about when it first happens. It's like, oh, well, not my problem. Not my kid, but it could be your kid. That's what we have to do. We have to realize any of these kids. I mean, you get online right now and just look for all the kids that have been just taken. They're just taken. And sometimes they find them, sometimes they don't. But they found her because God intervened, or I don't know. I don't have the answers for it. All I know is that these parents didn't give up. Mom dyed her hair bright pink, wore pink clothes every day when she came to court. And she's been trying to get justice since 2022, before Christmas, when they got their little daughter's body back. It's heartbreaking. It breaks my heart to see this kind of stuff happening every day in our own communities, and people just turn and look the other way. They don't want to talk about it because it's not something I want to talk about while I'm drinking my coffee. Oh, you're ruining my day. It's sad because we have so many selfish people that only care about themselves and what they want and what their needs are. They don't care about their next door neighbor or the person down the street. I mean, they could care less. All they want is their own selfish needs fulfilled, whether it's right now, Uber, give me my meal through the drive-through, whatever. That's all people seem to want. And I'm not saying everyone, because people like me, I pay monthly to do this stuff and to report this stuff and talk about this stuff and do streams and stuff like that. I pay for it. I'm not making money. I'm not making any money to pay my this streaming thing to do StreamYards. I'm paying for that every month. I pay for my internet every month. All my time and effort I take to find all the stuff to talk about, to dig around, to put it on X, talk about it on Spaces. I talk about it on all the different platforms that I'm on. Not because it's my kid. It's because I don't know this girl. I don't know her parents, but I feel for them. I mean, I want to reach out and hug them because I feel it's horrible. And I'm praying that this jury will give him what he deserves, which is not enough. I don't care if they give him the death penalty. It'll probably be 20 years before they actually give it to him. But the sad thing is that this is just one kid. This is just one little girl. And they had other girls that testified that he'd raped them too. Not as young as her, but we don't know if this is the only one. And that's what's sick about it. We got people like this guy just living their lives, drinking Coke, buying cigarettes, hanging out in neighborhoods, just scoping out for the next one. Where am I going to get another one? They're just a piece of meat. And when I'm done, I'm just going to chuck them in the trash because they're useless. It's sickening that this is how we look at children today. It's heartbreaking. And I just was so compelled. I was this morning is getting ready to set up for my show for tonight. And I've been watching this case since it came up and everybody's talking about it. And they're saying, why is this happening in a trial? And I go, it's not a trial. This is the sentencing phase. This guy realized because of his lawyers said, hey, man, they got so much evidence. They got you on video, buddy. You're an idiot, basically. And all we can do is try to keep you from getting the death penalty. And what's so sad is the death penalty for him is just going to be him strapped down to a gurney and they're going to give him a shot in the IV and then he's going to fall asleep and snore a little bit and then he's going to be dead. That's how fast. It's that simple for him. But this jury is having to listen, if you've been paying attention, to this guy killing her for over an hour. He beats her and he beats her and he strangles her and he strangles her. He steps on her throat. She has marks all over her face and her back and her chest from his shoe prints and the bottom of the van, not talking about the other things that he did to her. Because DNA proves that. But her poor little body was put in water. And when they showed the one photo, all you could see was her tiny little hands just under the surface of the water when they found her body. I just pray for the family that they just can hug each other and stay together and support each other because this mom and dad are heroes for putting up with this stuff. The fact that dad hasn't already gone and tried to do something to take out this guy for murdering his little girl is just under valor for me. I know as a woman, that's all I'd want. I just want to see him tied to a tree and have his privates cut off and just let him stand there until he's not alive anymore. To me, that's justice, but I'm not on the jury. And I hope that the jury gets the counseling they need or whatever, because I'm telling you, everybody involved in this, the police officers, every single person involved in this is going to need somebody to listen to them, because I don't know how anyone can listen to this stuff and not be emotionally upset over it. Because if you care about life, I've heard people whine and complain about animals, being hit by cars or people starving them or leaving them chained up in the yard because it's winter. But I don't hear a peep out of the same people talking about these kids. That stuff like this happening to him. Oh, the poor guy, he was abused when he was a kid. He was this, that, and the other. Guess what? I know a lot of people that were abused when they were kids, and they would never, ever do something like this to a kid. Okay, right now. And the few ones that I know, because I've gone to court a few times, that do abuse kids like this, they weren't abused. They were just narcissistic pigs that think that they're God and they can do whatever the hell they want, because their whole life they've gotten away with everything. They've been able to steal, lie, cheat, get whatever they wanted, and nobody's held them accountable. That's part of the problem. We are coddling kids to where they think, oh, well, I get an award no matter what I do. It doesn't matter if I'm good or bad. I'm going to get this or I'm going to get that. And I don't have to do shit to get it. Because now you can just get a job, and if they don't hire you because, oh, you got a tattoo, or you spike your hair, or you dye your hair orange, or whatever it is, and they don't hire you, you can sue them because, oh, they hate you because of your skin color or whatever it is. You can blame everybody for everything except when they rape and murder a kid. If you try to point the finger at them, oh, you can't do that. They had a bad childhood. It's like, what about the freaking kids? When are we going to start fighting back? When are we going to start fighting back and taking our neighborhoods back and our states back from all these sickos and these judges that do this? Bad, bad, bad. Oh, well. We got to do something. We got to stop this stuff. And the only way to do that is by sharing information and protecting our children. We got to help each other watch each other's kids. We got to babysit. We got to have somebody, a parent that stays and walks up and down the street in your neighborhood, like a neighborhood watch. But all you're doing is watching the kids play so that some freaking psycho doesn't just drive by and grab your kid, even if he's in a delivery truck. Doesn't matter if he's an electrician. It shouldn't matter. Start paying attention to what's going on around you. And if it hadn't been for somebody realizing that truck was there, her poor little body would still be missing. And this guy would probably, who knows how many other people would have taken out in the time that he's been in jail. I mean, it's disgusting. This kind of stuff disgusts me. And another thing that disgusts me, and I am a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ, that he died for my sins. I do believe that. But when a person tells me, well, there's nothing I can do, I'm going to let God sort it out, you're part of the problem. And I have no problem saying that. Because if you can't even talk to people at your church, your Sunday school and stuff about setting up a program to help these kids realize that even the delivery truck guy could be bad, not to go near him, not to get in any vehicle ever, no matter what, without your parents saying it's okay or being with your parents. That guy could be bad. Just because he looks normal doesn't mean they don't have you targeted for danger. And I don't know how else to explain that. But to me, that's all we have. It's up to us as parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, sisters, and brothers to fight for our kids, to save our children from this kind of disgusting, sick mother effers. Because I tried to type that in the chat earlier and it wouldn't let me. Said I couldn't say that word, even though I didn't even use the F word. I just said MFers. But I don't know what else to say about it. It's just, it's sad and heartbreaking that that we have this happening every single day in every single state. It doesn't matter if the state's red or if the state's blue. It has nothing to do with it. The only part that has anything to do with is in the court. When you have a court, I just love this judge so far. A couple times he said to sustain, which means that the defense brought something up and the prosecution wasn't able to do it. They had to tell the jury, so that shouldn't have been part of this. Because to me, it seems like the judge, and I've seen him get emotional a few times during this case, but he's listening to the facts and he's weighing it by the letter of the law, not by his feelings. Even though I don't know how he's doing it, because I'm telling you, it's heartbreaking. I don't know how any of these people do it, but I applaud justice. Okay. This guy has gotten above and beyond a great trial to be able to put his information out there that undiagnosed anything really, but it got out there. They talked about different things about, and I'm pretty sure the defense is going to be able to bring in their own people to say why he's made these decisions and stuff. But if you've paid attention to all the stuff that the defense has laid out, I mean, not defense, but prosecution has laid out so far, leading up to the jury having to listen to a video that was taken inside the truck that he was using to deliver packages for Christmas. And that any person, if you're driving any vehicle and you're not speeding and you got a little thing that faces your, your speedometer has all the speed limit, how many times you're slamming on your brakes or that kind of stuff. And it has a camera showing you if you rear end someone or any of those things, but you have a driver that gets in there and covers the camera. So, and he's working for you. What does that tell you? It tells me that my employee is doing something they shouldn't. Because if they were in my vehicle and I'm paying them to drive it, why are they not letting me see what they're doing in my vehicle? Okay, so for one, you only hide stuff when you know it's wrong, right? I mean, that's common sense, but it seems like half this country doesn't have common sense anymore for some reason, just like what Congress did a couple weeks ago when one of the people brought forward that they wanted to release all the names of every person who had taken money out of that slush fund to pay off someone for groping them or some kind of sexual harassment stuff. And 360 something of them said, no, we're not releasing the names. And 65 out of all of them said, yeah, we want to release the names. That tells me, that right there, just that one vote told me that they're not for us. They're not voting. The 65 are voting for us to see the truth, but the 360 something voted against what I would want as a voter. I voted for America first. That means all of us. Red, blue, independent, it doesn't matter. All of us should be treated the same and given the truth. And if they're voting to not release names, well, where's all the people that were going, Epstein? Where are they? I don't see them complaining about the 360 something people that voted not to release the names. You don't see shit about it. And the reason is because they don't really give a shit. The people that complain constantly about truth don't really give a shit because they're not standing up for all of the truth. They're only standing up for their little part that they think is important. The victims of Epstein's already said that Trump wasn't there, that they didn't see Trump do anything. But yet that's what you hear over and over and over by all these other people that weren't even on the island. You should listen to the freaking victims. That's what I've been saying for years. I've played many, many interviews for the Epstein victims. And people will be bitching and moaning in the chat. And I'm like, well, send me a video. Here's Friday Night Shit Show at Gmail is my email. Send me a video with a victim on there saying that Trump did something to her. Not one video did I ever receive. But I had lots of videos saying that Bill Clinton, what's his name? Mick Jagger. He was there sitting right next to Bill Clinton, enjoying whatever the view was. And when they made Hillary and Bill testify, boy, when they handed those pictures of Bill Clinton in a hot tub with underage girls, he sure was just about drooling on those pictures. It was disgusting. But it's stuff that's coming out. But the people who, I love Bill and Hillary, they're awesome. They're not going to believe any of it, even though he testified and had cameras on him and everything. You could see everything he did, but they'll make excuses for him. I didn't have sexual relations with that woman. They lie through their teeth, but for some reason they turn and look the other way. Those people are the reason why people like this Tanner guy get a slap on the wrist and they're put back on the street, or why victims don't come forward. When she's that little 7-year-old girl, what they just reported, they've only seen half of the video so far, and they could barely take it. They could barely get through that video, and it's just audio. Why? Because Tanner knew what he was going to do. He knew he was going to take this girl, so he covered up all the cameras in a FedEx van. It's not even his, and all you could do is hear it. You could hear what's going on. But when you close your eyes and you're blind and you can't see, you can still tell what's going on around you. I have friends that are blind and I have friends that are deaf. Just because you can't hear and you can see, you know what's going on. You don't have to hear every word they say. Same thing. If you can hear what's going on, you can pretty much know what's happening right in front of you, and there's nothing you can do. And the fact that the one woman said in the audio, you hear the little girl gasping for air while he's in there trying to kill her, trying to snap her neck like a twig. And it's not working because as soon as he gets behind the wheel and starts driving again, you hear her going, gasping for air because her body's trying to struggle for air, for oxygen to keep her brain going. And all he does is yell and tell her to shut up and stuff like that. And you can hear cars driving by the van because he's pulled over with his little blinkers on, bloop, 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 going off. All those people driving by, and that poor little girl's in there, and nobody knew about it. And that's exactly what he wanted. He didn't want anybody. He wanted to be non-suspicious, you know, and he knew what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. So the defense is going to come on after and say, oh, he couldn't help himself. He's messed up. He panicked. He did this, he did that. But it took him over an hour to murder her. He had so many chances. Every time she gasped for air, he could have called 911. He didn't. He didn't. He did nothing. He could have told his mom or his grandma, I'm having these horrible thoughts of wanting to do this to a kid. But he didn't. He didn't. He didn't try to stop anything because all he cared about was his own satisfaction. And I wish more people would stand back and look at that. It has nothing to do with whether or not she's your kid or not. Look at the actions of what he did. He's the grown-up, not her. I hear so many people say, well, that woman was wearing a low-cut shirt, or she was wearing a skirt or her, high up above her thigh or whatever. Does that mean she just wanted to get attacked? No. That's just what she likes to wear. You know, that Tanner guy had them giant things in his ears, big holes. People might point and say something bad about that. But guess what? If he likes it, why can't he wear his ears pierced? I don't have a problem with that. And most people that I know, they don't have a problem with that. But when you start putting your hands on other people against their will, I have a problem with that. And so should all of you. Everyone should have a problem with that. We should all have the right to defend our own bodies, period. No one should have the right to put their hands on us unless we're hurting someone else or we're about to hurt ourselves and they're trying to help us. Things like that. Common sense helps you determine, when's not a good time. But to force yourself on another person is wrong. I don't care who does it. So I don't know. This has just been really, really hard. But I'm so thankful that I've had a few people that have actually paid attention listening to this and that it's getting out. But it's just heartbreaking because we've lost another child. And the thing is now that his DNA has been taken and put into the system because he did confess. Okay, he confessed. So that the whole thing is out of the way about whether the jury has to say, oh, he's guilty. Now we have to decide whether we're going to give him death penalty. This whole thing is either death penalty or life in prison without a chance of getting out on parole. That's what this jury is going to, say at the end when the judge asked them, when they come into all of them have to agree on the death penalty. You can't have one person. If there's one person in there that thinks, oh, he has a split personality or he was abused, his mom drank alcohol while she was pregnant, so it made him want to rape little girls, and murder them. It's sickening because I know a lot of people who have been beaten, raped, sodomized, stuff, all when they were little. And I don't know a single one of them that's ever wanted to hurt another person because the person that hurt them is the only one they want to see punished, not innocent people. That's the difference. A sick, narcissistic pig, whether it's a woman or a man, because women can be narcissists also, those are the ones that think that everything is theirs, that anything within my reach that I see that I want, I'm just going to take because I had the right to do that. The world is my oyster. I can take whatever I want. And even though they have to hide and lie about different things because they know other people won't accept it, they don't care because they'll try to talk their way out of it like they always do. That's what narcissists are good at. And if any of you know a narcissist or who dealt with a narcissist, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's as plain as the nose on your face once you see it, because once you realize a person is a narcissist, you can't not unsee it. It's like obvious. And I'm telling you right now, I didn't even have to even listen to that video. I didn't even as soon as the opening statement came out and he talked about that she fought like 100 men. The 7-year-old girl fought for her life. I mean, she didn't want to die. She fought this guy. She scratched him. She had every single one of her little fingernails had his DNA under them because she fought and scratched him. She bit him. She did everything she could as a 7-year-old to fight off a grown man, you know. And if you've seen him in the defendant chair or whatever, you can see he's a pretty big guy to fight up a little 60-pound little girl. I mean, how macho he must feel. Wow, look at me, I'm king. I can do whatever I want. She's my slave. I can just do whatever I want to her. How sickening that is to a normal person. But to other people that are sickos, you know, they're all like out there saying, well, you know, whatever. But now that his DNA is in the system, we might find out that he has other victims out there. Because I honestly, in my gut, don't believe this is the only girl that he's done this to. And it's just sick. I mean, it's just sick. But we'll find out. I mean, they just last month found another victim from Ted Bundy. Why? Because our capabilities are getting better and better when it comes to science, that when you have the DNA and you have it in the system and every state connects, which is they aren't yet, okay? Because you got a lot of rural areas in every state. Some of the big cities, until somebody actually goes in the back room and gets that case box down and takes the samples and stuff out and takes the time to put it into the system to where they can see whether or not there's a match, they may never find out who the killer is. Because if the killer is in the system, that's the only way they're going to find out. It's like the Green River killer that killed over 48 women that they were able to prove. And then you got the Golden State Killer in California that killed, couples, lots of people. I don't know how many exactly, but he killed young girls. He killed husbands and wives, because he would tie the husband up, hog tie him, put a cup and saucer on his back, and threaten that if that cup fell off, he was going to kill both of them. Well, he'd kill both of them anyways, but he would make the woman cook for him and make her, be an animal, treat her like an animal, basically all around the house. And this whole time he's married and has his own family up in Upper California. And I think she was a lawyer too. I'm not 100% because I don't know every detail about the case, but you don't hardly hear nothing about any of these, because as soon as they realize it doesn't fit the narrative, they damp it down, because that's what the media does. The media does whatever they're told. And to me, I think the left is controlled with most of the media. There's very few things. I mean, I like my show, my little things that I've done. I've had quite a few people on my show talk about child sexual abuse, human trafficking, things like that, about the COVID shots. I mean, all kinds of different things. And they bring it, even had interview with the Surgeon General of Florida one time. And I played a snippet of it, and I didn't get a copyright strike for it, but I got in trouble for medical misinformation. So it's like, what? He's the Surgeon General of Florida. How can he be saying something that you think is fake, and it's lies or it's misinformation? Because it isn't. The thing is, they didn't like the point of view that I was sharing, so they took my channel down for 2 weeks. So, I've had that happen multiple times, but it didn't shut me up. I still did it on Rumble, and I did it whatever other place I had. Now I have X, I have Kick, So TikTok, wherever I can go and put something on there, I'm trying to do it. And I pay to do it because I think it's important. Even if I only get 5 people to look into it, and they go and they take their kid and they go to the police department and they take a little course or whatever to try to help make their kids safer, then all this is worth it. If we can help one kid, if we can save one kid, or we can get one person arrested and put in jail for doing this kind of stuff to someone else before they kill someone. It's bad enough to put their hands all over them and do nasty stuff to them, but then to take their life is the worst. And I don't want that to happen. And I do the same thing if I saw somebody abusing an animal. You don't have a clue how many hundreds of animals, kittens, puppies, chickens, other animals that I've seen dumped on the side of the road, driving between Louisiana and Arkansas, tons of them. I pulled over one time because I saw a lineman. He was in the ditch digging around. I saw him bent over and he was digging around, and I saw him like he was looking for something. So I pulled over and I asked him, I said, did you drop one of your tools or something? Because he had that little bucket up there. And he said, no. He said, I heard some noises, so I came down here. And he goes, and I found these. And he had 3 kittens, little ones, I mean, tiny ones, in his hand. And I go, oh my God, someone threw kittens out here? And he goes, yeah, so I've been trying to pick them up, because he goes, I don't want them, but I was going to take them to the some vet he was talking about down the road. So I started looking, found 4 more little kittens, and I took a couple of them and he took the others, and I took them home, and I found homes for them. But it's sad that a person would take kittens and put them in a paper bag or a box and just throw them out the window while they're driving down the road. And that same person is probably one of the people on X or one of these other platforms attacking somebody because they're lefty or they're righty or they or whatever. For whatever reason, they're in there, they're keyboard warriors, even though they just threw a bunch of kittens out the window. That's what's disgusting to me, is when you start going into these people's backgrounds and find out what kind of really sick person they really are. Because if you'll do that to a kitten or drown them or beat them in the head with a rock or whatever kind of nasty stuff people do to animals, but just throwing a puppy or a kitten on the side of the road and leaving them to be run over by a car or starved to death, eaten by ticks, bit by a snake, whatever it is, that shows that you're a sick person. I mean, you're not a person that would care about another person starving to death or catching on fire or anything. You're not a normal human. I mean, to me, that's low. Pretty low. You're not a decent person. Not a person that if I ever found someone I knew did that, I would never talk to him again, probably, because to me that's just disgusting, and it's sad. But that's where we are in the world now, in the United States of America. This isn't Africa, China, or Russia. In China and places like that, they'd eat the cats, or eat the puppies or the bats or whatever other animals they have, because they don't have grocery stores like we have, where we can go to Walmart and just get all the stuff and just leave half of it on your plate and not even eat it. Okay. These are people that have to eat mice and rats and tarantulas, whatever they can get, because they live in a little dirt hut, so totally different. So you can't even really put them together. But when you live in a country like America and this kind of stuff happens, and people just go, oh, well, not my problem, that we got a problem. Our society is crumbling, and we're eating each other, basically. And our kids are the ones that are at the very bottom. Because when you got a criminal that gets to go to prison, he gets 3 meals a day, dental, eye care, complete physicals and medical care and whatever else, gets to work out, gets to get on the internet every day, get mail, have a commissary where we have candy and cigarettes and all these other things that our veterans can't even afford. And then they also, some of them even get conjugal visits, which means they can give birth or get a woman pregnant and have a whole family while they're on death row for 20 years or whatever. And they get to see their kids and everything, even though all their victims never get to see their families. To me, how does that happen? How did we get there? When did the killers and the criminals get to become more important than the victims? What does that tell you about our society? And someone will say, well, you're a Christian, you shouldn't want the death penalty. Guess what? If you read the Bible, it says an eye for an eye. There's even parts in there about what you do with a person that will hurt children. You put a millstone around their neck and you chuck them in the lake, stuff like that. So there is justice in the Bible. So people that walk around pointing at everybody else about how horrible they are really aren't for everybody. They're just for a few select people. Oh, you can't have a gun to protect yourself, but I live in this gated gun owning security people neighborhood because I can afford it. So I don't have to worry about my family getting attacked. But you're in that trailer park down there, you don't get to have a gun to protect your family. You know, that's their attitude, which is bullshit. All of us should have the right to protect our families and be able to share truthful information with others so other people can have the right to protect their families too. And the only way to do that is by having outsources of somewhere in the media where you can actually get real truth instead of just a bunch of bullshit that they want to tell you. That's why when you turn the channel, click, 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 it's almost exactly the same thing, one after the other, the exact same thing, because guess what? They're all owned by the same people. So they all have the same script, you know, and the fact that you're glued to one channel, whichever it is, CNN, Fox News, ABC, whatever, you just don't see that they're all parroting each other because you only zoom into the one thing. So if you sample, go out and you sample and listen to the different channels, find a story, whatever story it is, and then go to the different channels, get online, go look at different newspapers or whatever and read what they say and compare the notes and see how many of them say the exact same thing. If they all say the same thing, those are the channels that I wouldn't listen to anymore. You need to listen to channels that are different than all the others because maybe then you'll start getting a little truth again. But there's very few of them. And most of them are independent journalists, the ones you actually get facts from, until they start getting pushed this way or the other because, oh, if you say that, we're not going to pay you. We're not going to buy ads on your channel. So the best thing for you to do is to go one story at a time, dig around, and try to get some information. Yeah, I don't want to spend time doing that. It's too much time. I don't want to waste my time doing that. Well, then I guess you're going to be uninformed forever. Because unless you're willing to take a few minutes out of your day, like maybe when you're taking a crap on the toilet, that short amount of time between the bathroom, be that one time that you look each day and say, I'm going to look this up and that up and find out what this really is. You got your undivided attention because you're stuck there. So you might as well look up something that's going to help you out with truth. But, can't seem to get a lot of people to even want to find out the truth. And that's what's really sad is that people don't care anymore. People are getting to where they just don't care until it happens to someone you care about. It's too late then. It's too late. You got to care before that happens. Yeah, it really is sad. But you know what? I've had FedEx, I've had Amazon, I've had UPS. I've even had people in this regular cars drive up and then knock on the door and put a package down and leave. And then I'd go out and I'd look at the package, and if it was for me, then I would take it in the house. If it was not for me, I would call a number and say, hey, somebody brought a package and it's for some Juan something. It's not, they don't live here. So they need to come back and get this package because they delivered it to the wrong address because it's one number off or whatever it is. But, if they're going to really leave the package, then it was supposed to be left there. But you don't have to answer the door, risk, especially if you're by yourself. But one of the videos that I shared a couple weeks ago on the show was two guys, one was at the door in a UPS outfit, banging on the door, and no one heard it because the mom had the two small ones in the back room reading them a story, trying to get them to take their nap. And then the dad and the older brother were doing stuff around the house. I don't know exactly what, but nobody heard the door. So the older brother decided, I got to take the puppy out. They had a little German Shepherd puppy outside. And as soon as he walked out, that guy was walking off with the package. real UPS would have left the package. They took a picture of it and left the real package. But when they were carrying it off, that should have been bing, a red bing going off in your head saying, hey, they're taking the package with them. And they didn't leave a letter saying, hey, you got to come pick up your package. I would have shut the door and not spoke to him. But he didn't. He waved his arm and called, hey, you know, we're here. We just didn't hear you. And guess what? He comes over and another guy behind him. Then they call the third person and they just push him in, have a gun on him, get him in there, and they beat the hell out of his dad and they rob him. And they scared the little one so bad when they were threatening their mother that the one little brother, I think he was like 5, was dragging his 3-year-old brother by the leg, trying to get him to the bedroom to hide him. It was horrible to think about how every time those little boys are going to see someone in a UPS uniform, they're going to think they're the bad guys, you know, coming to hurt them. And it's just heartbreaking to see this kind of stuff. But we just have criminals running rampant. I'm not saying they're all illegals and stuff like that either. I'm saying criminals, people who break into other people's homes or come in your yard, steal your kid, stuff like that. That's a criminal. And we got to put them in prison or we got to give them the death penalty. We got to actually hold them accountable so that other ones that are thinking, I sure am thinking about getting me a little brunette tonight, to make them think, well, I'm not gonna, because they've already put 6 people in prison in this last, year in this state. So maybe it might deter a few people. I don't know. But if we don't try, how are we ever going to find out? That's how I look at it. But that's just my point of view. And nobody has to listen to me. I mean, not one person has to take my advice and think anything I say is accurate. They can say, oh, she's full of shit, and just not watch me. That's fine. It's not going to change my life. I'm still going to get up tomorrow and do the same thing. I don't care. I mean, I appreciate it when people support me, but if you don't like what I have to say, you don't have to listen. I could care less. I mean, I really could. If you hate me, it's not going to change my life at all, any more than somebody hating you is going to change your life, as it isn't. Okay. You're still going to have the same people living in your house. You're going to live in the same place you live now. Tomorrow you're going to get up and you're going to breathe the same air out of the same house in the same neighborhood that you're in right now. So it doesn't change anything for you. So, but you might wake up tomorrow and say, man, I sure am glad I listened to that person, whatever it was you watched, because I learned how to do this, or I learned this, or I found out about something I've been wondering about for a long time. So, it doesn't hurt to get new information from somewhere else than the same place you always get information from. I've heard a few people say they took a break from X for a week or two, and that they couldn't believe how weird it was to not be, every minute on something. That's just like quitting smoking or trying not to shop all the time, go shopping. Because I know people that just, they start freaking out, can't sleep, they can't eat because they haven't been shopping in weeks, and they're like, I can't stand it. I'm dying. I want to go look at stores. I hate that. I absolutely hate going to look at shoes, go and look at clothes, try stuff on. I mean, I can go and just look at something at the thrift store and say, hey, I can buy that. I know it's going to fit me, and it's not going to shrink because it's already been owned by someone else. So much easier than going somewhere and worrying about whether or not I have to hang it to dry or something, because it's not going to fit me next time I wash it or something. So, and I'm cheap. So, I don't have a problem with that. But I don't know. I hope to God that something good comes out of this, and that we find out that they're going to give this guy what I feel he deserves, like I've done in my little poll I put on there. If you've been paying attention, basically, if you've watched, because this is a sentencing phase, not the trial. They already have all the evidence. He confessed that he killed her. Now he came up with 3 or 4 different stories about what happened. Oh, I accidentally ran over her with my truck, so I put her in the back of my vehicle because I freaked out. And then when she started talking or whatever, I tried to break her neck, and that didn't work. He had all these different stories, but you see, because of the video, before he covered the camera, you see her just standing behind the seat, just standing going, what's going on? So she wasn't run over by the truck. That was a lie, because everything he does, people like him lie. And it's not that hard to understand that a liar tries to cover their tracks because, covering the cameras and stuff like that proves that he was lying, that he knew it was wrong. Because if you accidentally ran over a kid that was on the bicycle, even if you didn't kill him, you accidentally ran over him, you don't just get back in your car and drive away. You try to find out, where do you live? We got to tell your mom. You got to, or call the police, call 911 anyways, because you did run over someone on a bicycle. I mean, I don't know. To me, if it was an accident, you wouldn't freak out. You wouldn't freak out that, you might get in trouble. They might say, well, you're going too fast or, whatever. I don't know. I've never had that happen. But the thing is, I can tell you right now, I wouldn't run over someone on a bike and just drive off and just act like, oh, well, it's not my problem, because it was your problem. You ran over someone on a bike. We have to start standing up and being responsible for the things that we do, period. If you drink and drive, if you speed, whatever. And then you got all these other scandals, well, you cheated on your wife. Now this person comes forward and says, you cheated with me. I got pictures and I'm going to tell your wife if you don't pay me this much money. Well, then you start paying them and now you're being blackmailed. Now what are you doing? Your wife's going to say, hey, how come we can't pay the bills? It's always going to come out sooner or later. So the best thing to do is just stop and say, okay, I messed up. I gotta confess. I gotta open up and tell someone, because it ends then. Yeah, you got to deal with the repercussions, but guess what? Nobody can hold that over you anymore. They can't take money from you. They can't extort you if you accept that you made a mistake and just suffer the consequences of it. Many times I got grounded because I myself went to my parents and said, I stole cigarettes out of your purse, Mom. And I gave some to my friends and I almost set the woods on fire. And I got grounded for 2 months, but I deserved it. And I'm thankful that I told the truth, and my sister laughed at me how stupid I was for telling my mom, but I couldn't help it. I couldn't look at my mom knowing I did it. And she was talking to her friends about the woods burning, getting caught on fire, and that she might have knew, I don't know, but she was talking about it and how lucky everyone was that the fire department came before it burnt down a few houses, and I started thinking about it and I got more and more guilty, and I finally just told my mom the truth. And yeah, it sucked to get grounded and not be able to do the things I wanted to do, especially when it came to, trail riding and stuff on my horse. But I'm glad I did it. I'm thankful that I confessed and took my punishment because I deserved it. But I never did it again. It deterred me from ever doing that again. And I never did it. And I just wish more people would teach their kids that way. Because if you got a kid that sneaks around and hides stuff, it's just going to get worse and worse as they get bigger. So the best thing to do is to stop it as fast as you can and try to help them, get them counseling or something. Sit down and talk to them and say, why do you think you have to lie? Why do you have to make this up? Why, actually have a conversation with them and try to find an answer for it. I think it would make a big difference. But until that happens, I don't see how we're going to stop making tanners. I mean, what made him start talking to that guy and interviewing him and find out why he turned out the way he did? What makes a narcissist? What are we doing? Is it because you were raised by a narcissist that makes it another narcissist? I don't know enough about it, but I think to me, I'd rather see money go towards that type of study so that we can stop this stuff from happening. And have community, like groups that babysit for each other or sits out in the yards. I used to do that a lot. I used to sit around the yard and watch other kids, play and make sure that, they weren't in the road or throwing rocks at people's windows and stuff. And I'd be the one that would say, hey, why are you doing that? That's stupid. You're going to hurt somebody. Or why are you picking up that snake? You're going to get bit. Well, it's not poisonous. So what? It's still going to bite you, or it's going to bite someone else. It's just dumb. You don't go up to a dog and kick it because might attack you. It's just common sense. And for some reason, we're not teaching our kids common sense anymore. It seems like we're cranking out more and more and more people that can't take care of themselves. They can't do things for themselves because they're so dependent on other people feeding them. They can't keep a job. They have no place to live. We're coddling people into not being responsible. So it's kind of hard to get a job when you can't do anything. If you have no skills, you can't read and write, you can't add, you can't run a cash register, you can't change oil. It's just like my mother said. She had 5 daughters, and she said, if you can't change the tire on your car, I'm not taking you to get a driver's license, because we live in a rural area. If your car loses a tire or you get a flat, which is very happens a lot in the country because you run over all kinds of things, then you'll be stuck out there, and you won't be able to get help, or you have to sit and wait and you're a sitting duck waiting for someone to come and kill you, rob you, or whatever, because you can't change a tire. It's totally different than, you should know how to change your oil too, but changing a tire to me is one of the most important things that anyone, a man or a woman, should be able to do on your own car, because you could be stranded. If you need your oil change, guess what? You can drive down the road still. Go to the place to get an oil change. You shouldn't drive your car with a flat. Now you can, but it's going to cost you a shit ton of money because you bend up your, the rims on your tire. But there's just so many things that we can do to take control of our homes, our own lives, and our neighborhoods and our communities. You may not be able to make a big change because you're just one person, but if you can inspire other people, you don't know. You don't know what you're not capable of doing unless you just never try anything. You just sit on your couch, have the remote, and change channels. They can go to bed and get up, eat breakfast, and go to work. And then you do the same thing tonight. You sit in your chair, you watch TV and eat, then you go to bed. Is that the kind of life you live? Is that the kind of life you want your kid to have? I don't know. All I know is that I just hope that we're able to do something about this to somehow start caring more about what happens to our children instead of what happens to that guy who's on death row. I'm not saying if you think he's innocent, not helping him. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is start focusing on the victims before we focus on the criminals, and start. That's a good place to start, I think. But oh well, I'm done talking. My mouth is very dry, and I'm worn out. I've had a few family things that's happened to me in the last couple of weeks, and I haven't been sleeping very well. But I still make myself get up. I still make myself, make my bed. I still do things because I'm not going to be one of those people that just sits around and feels sorry for themselves. I'm not. I'm just not that kind of person. That's not the kind of person my mother made. So I'm stubborn as hell. But it's almost time for them to start the trial again. Let's see, I got, it looks like it's going to be in about 5 minutes. So let me go back over here real quick to the other website and see if it says anything. I don't see anything. They haven't posted anything new. So let me go to the other one. Again, I'm going to go to the other page. Just give me a second. Yeah, this other one is still got the thing facing the ceiling, so they have not come back to court yet. Yeah, someone in the chat, though, just said that both sides of the attorneys on both sides were crying during the video. So just think about that. You get hired by the state to defend someone because they can't afford an attorney, and you end up having to defend this guy that confessed to killing a 7-year-old girl by picking her up in the FedEx truck while you're delivering Christmas gifts to people. And now you got to defend this guy. But you got to try to keep him from getting the death penalty. because he confessed because there was so much evidence. He didn't have any choice. The fact that someone didn't take him out, that's the one thing I've been really surprised about, is the fact that somebody didn't just, in Texas, didn't just say, well, this guy's a piece of shit, and decided to take him out themselves. So I'm glad they didn't, because I don't believe in vigilante justice. It's happened a few times where they end up getting arrested and they end up getting acquitted, for heat of passion, or, whatever the different terminology is for it. But I don't agree with it. I don't agree that that we should take justice in our own hands. I do believe in the process of the law, and without laws, we're just animals. We're no different than some of these other people that just say, oh, well, I saw somebody do something. And what I can't remember the name of it, but there was I think it might have been the Twilight Zone. It was a rerun. It was on TV, and it came on late, real late on a Saturday night. And it was a 3-movie trilogy. And I can't remember the name of it, but I remember this one story because every time I get in this situation, I remember it. It was a woman, and she was brutally attacked and raped. Okay. And the husband's like devastated over the whole thing. And she gets out of the hospital, and he's getting her counseling and stuff. And seems to be doing a lot better. And he's driving along with her in his convertible. And she looks over and she looks wide-eyed, and he goes, what is it? And she goes, that's him. And he goes, who? And she goes, the man that raped me. And her husband goes, are you sure? And she says, yes. So he follows the guy, slows down a little bit, and he pulls over on the side of the road. He closes the roof on the car, and he says, stay here, I'll be right back. So he gets out of his car and he follows this guy, blocks down the road and down to in an alley, and then he kills him. Okay, he kills the guy. And you could see him, he's just filled with rage when he takes this guy out. Then after he's done, he leaves him in the alley, and then he goes out of the alley and he walks back down the street. And he gets in the car with his wife, and he goes, he'll never hurt you again because I just got rid of him. And she goes, you did that for me? And he said, yes. So she's kissing and hugging him, and they're so happy. And then she goes, well, let's go home or whatever. And they get back on the road, start driving on the road, and they go down just to, another 4 or 5 blocks. And she goes, that's him. That's him. And he goes, who? And she goes, the guy that raped me. And that's when he realized he just killed an innocent man because he let revenge overtake him. He didn't even make sure the guy was guilty, because she's damaged now because of what happened to her. And that's why I tell people, just don't do that, because you take law in your own hands because you think you're doing the right thing because of heat of passion or whatever the reason is. You are putting yourself in the same category as a person that assaulted someone else for whatever their reason behind it was. So you always stop and think about what you're doing, or talk to someone else about it. Because I'm telling you right now, more than likely you're not making the right decision when you do it in the wrong frame of mind. So I always think of that, and I try to share it with people. And I wish I could remember the name of it. I always say every time I get in this situation that I'm going to go find out what it is and write it down so people can watch it, because I think it's real important to get people to really think about your actions. Because when you go off half-cocked, that's what my mother would call it, you're going to hurt somebody or yourself, and you're going to regret it. You're going to regret it later. So to take a deep breath, think about it, step back, and wait. And I don't know who it was, but I remember somebody on TV that said they have a 24-hour rule or something where they find out something or get information. They wait 24 hours before they make a decision on what they're going to do about it, and maybe longer. Because once you have 24 hours to think about it, and you really think about it and start digging in to find out more information about it, you realize, wow, I'm so glad I didn't do that, because man, that was dumb. You know what I mean? So I wish we could all do that. I wish we all had one good friend. If we could all just have one good friend that you can go to about anything, no matter how nuts you might think it is, that your friend will accept you for it. They won't judge you. Mine was my mom, and I don't have her anymore, but it's been really hard. Even though I have 4 sisters, it's not the same. And I do have one best friend, and I'm gonna try to go see her within a week or so again, because I haven't seen her in a couple months. But man, it's like I could go a year and a half and not see her, but then I see her again. It's like we never separated. I don't know if you guys are lucky enough to have a friend like that, but we all need at least one of those in our lives, someone who's accepting. And what I see when I see this kind of thing happening, the people that had someone in their life that listened to them and they had someone to talk to, they're the victim. They end up becoming the victim. It's the person who has nobody, that actually has nobody at all that they can talk to or share things with on a real even basis. They end up becoming someone who hurts other people. From at least from my years of knowledge, which might not be as long as some other people, but I do try to pay attention to things, and I try to ask lots of questions. And I know I'm so irritating to a lot of people because I'll ask so many questions, and they're like, that's what my mother always said, that she was glad that I was a tomboy because I hung out with my dad. And my dad was an instructor. He was a jungle survival instructor. So he was used to lots of questions. So when I would say, Dad, why is this? Or Dad, how come you did that? And Dad, constantly, he liked it, apparently, because he put up with it. He never got mad, snapped at me for it, never told me to shut up. Never said, you're so stupid, you should shut up, or whatever. He never did that to me. So maybe I was very lucky to have such a good dad. But I had a mom that said, Janet, I just can't deal with it right now. That's what she'd tell me. Because she had 5 daughters. So, and other people have come over. They said, 5, you got 5 sisters. And when they'd leave, when I would go and they'd see me by myself somewhere else. They'd go, I don't know how you did it. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, all of you guys were talking at the same time. And I was turning and looking around going, who should I listen to? And I was like, I know, it's weird, isn't it? But when you have that many people, you have to get your say in, because you're never going to get to say anything if you wait till nobody's speaking. So I don't know. It's just funny. But I just wish everybody had, a good friend that you can confide in, because I think it would save so many people from this kind of stuff. Because I think if you have good friends when you're a kid, and you have parents that actually care about you, and you have good teachers or whatever, and you stick, you stick to the middle, to where when you meet someone and they're always trying to get you to do things are wrong, that you can back off and find someone else to hang with, that you don't feel like you're pushed to that person, or you have to hang out with that person, because that person is eventually going to lead you into trouble. You might have 2 kids that are super smart, do so well, and they excel, but as soon as they get together, something about their personalities cause them to start getting into trouble. They start doing things that they never would have done before, and they never did before until they met each other. So unless someone loves one or the other and notices the change in their personality when they meet, and then pulls them away and gets them active in another sport or something else and stops that relationship, it's just going to lead to trouble. But that's what I'm saying. When you're so busy because you're trying to work, pay your bills, take care of your house, whatever else is going on, you don't have the time to see and pay as much attention to the kids or their friends as you did when they were younger. Because when they were younger, they were more at home. Now they're out and they're about doing stuff with their friends, and you don't talk to them every time they come home. So you don't know what interaction they had, or what they were doing, or what they might have done that you don't know about, things like that. So, if we don't involve ourselves in our kids' lives, then we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what they're actually doing, because I'm telling you right now, I love my mom, but I didn't tell her everything. There was things I didn't tell my mom, like when I was first started smoking, or, sneaking out. to hang out with my friends, or wearing, my mother would say, those jeans are too tight. I don't want you wearing those jeans. It's not appropriate to wear those jeans. I know it sounds really stupid, but that's how my mother was. So what I would do is I'd take the jeans, fold them up, and put them in my purse. As soon as I'd leave and my girlfriend would pick me up, I'd go and I'd change into the other jeans because I wanted to wear them. Not just because I wanted to do something my mother told me I couldn't. It was because I wanted to wear those jeans. And I'm really stubborn. So, and guess what? One time I wore the jeans and she had told me no, and she would know from behind for sure because of the pockets, the way that the design on them. She come walking up behind me. She goes, nice jeans. And I heard her voice. I felt a shiver go up my spine that I was dead meat, because she ended up getting picked up by one of her friends, and they were going to go and have a couple drinks, and they stopped at this one place that I happened to be at before they went there. And that's when she saw me, and she saw the vehicle that we were in. So they came in and she saw me wearing those jeans, but I think she suspected that I was wearing them anyways. I don't know. I think moms have a sixth sense about things that their kids are doing. We may not always want to believe that, but I think it's true. But yeah, that didn't happen again after that, because guess what? When we got home, she made me cut them up because I lied to her. So, but she didn't, she didn't beat me or anything like that. I was lucky for that part of it. She was just said, we're going to tear those jeans up. We're going to cut them up, put them in the trash, because that you're never going to lie to me about that again, because it won't be those jeans. And she was right. So I don't know. We all have to do what we can and do the best we can with what we have. And that's all I tried to do. And I try to inform other people, what worked for me, what happened to me. Because if it did happen to you, then guess what? You're not the only one it happened to, because it happened to me as an Air Force brat. But I'm just wondering why it's taking so long. But remember, they said they got over 30 minutes left on the actual video that of Tanner killing Athena in the little truck, or whatever you want to call it, the FedEx delivery van, whatever. And it's all on camera, but the camera is covered up, so all you have is the audio. But he said it is not going to be released to the public. That was only going to be for the people in the court, because defense get to hear it, prosecution gets to hear it, and the jury, and anyone in the courtroom sitting in there. No one's allowed to have cameras, or only the ones with special permission can have the cameras, but they can't film anyone in the jury. And they have to, turn the cameras up to the ceiling whenever the jury goes in and out. And they had to blur out all the victims that were underage when they testified against Tanner, saying that they were raped by him when they were like 14. And then there was, see, I'm trying to think of all the things since I've been watching this case, and it's not the trial anyways, it's a sentencing phase, totally different. Because normally when somebody says that they're not guilty, like Tanner tried to say, when they said, hey, his defense attorney said, basically, well, they got DNA, they got the video evidence of you doing this in the truck, all the different evidence that they had against him, that they told him the best thing for him to do is to confess. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the court they're in or what, but I think he would have had a better chance of probably getting just life in prison if he just went with a judge. But I really think that when you bring all this up, because from my reading of all of the people in the chats from all the days, for 7 straight days, today's the 8th day of me reading the chat for like 6 to 8 hour day, off and on, just going through and reading the chat. The comments from the people have pretty much told me that it's in like my poll that I'm doing right now on my live, that they would go for the death penalty. But we got to remember, though, it only takes one person. Only one person, doesn't have to be unanimous, and they can't give him the death penalty. He'll end up getting life in prison with no chance of parole, which we know doesn't always mean they'll never get out. That's the only bad thing about it, is that, they can keep appealing and appealing and appealing hundreds of times, and we're paying for it, the taxpayers or whatever. But the thing is, it's a jury, so I just hope the jury can see the evidence and realize that this guy knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted to kill someone. He covered up the cameras. I think he was going to do it the day before, because the testimony from yesterday had a small snippet of video showing him delivering a package the day before, and he had done the same thing with his camera. He had covered up the camera from outside where you couldn't see where he was. And the only reason you even saw the father and the daughter and the mother was because of the camera facing him in his seat, and it looked out the door. When it opened it, you could see the door and the mother come out, and the daughter, the little brunette daughter, running around, and then the dad that comes out, because it's a pretty big package that he was delivering. But you could see right through the back of the truck, just like if you saw any of the other videos, you could see that, how many packages he had in the truck. But the thing is, he had the door open in the back, and he took the package, dragged it out. The dad took it and went in, and you see him get on his phone, Tanner get on his phone, I guess, to show that, hey, I delivered this package. Then he gets in his seat and puts the seatbelt on. When he starts to leave, I think he got frustrated because he was thinking about taking the kid, but the mother came out, and then also the father. So I think that kind of, he felt like he couldn't hang around, you know what I mean, to be able to talk the kid into letting them, or, hey, you want to see what I got in the back of the truck, or whatever, want some candy, little kid, or whatever, how that scary thing is. So I think that he thought that, but he got spooked or whatever because of the mom and dad both coming out. It made him think twice about doing it. He got shook up a little, because when he got in the back in the truck and put his seatbelt on, started to drive off, the dad came running out and said, hey, you forgot to shut the back of your truck. You see, he had the door open. He was going to take that kid and put her in there. Just like the next night when he gets Athena and puts her in there, it was pretty much exactly the same routine and how he got her in there through the back of the truck. And it was pretty creepy. So I'm glad that they showed all of that video and they let the people see it. Yeah, the jury, when I say people, I'm sorry, that's what I meant. But the judge was nice enough to let them air a lot of this so that people like us can watch and see how a court works. Because so many people I've talked to have never been to court. They've never even sat in court. They don't know anything about how it's run or anything. I've had to go in, oh God, it was weak for a whole month. In the state of Arkansas, they sent me a thing and said that they wanted me to come in. I was selected for jury duty. Well, you're not really selected for jury duty. What it is, it's a jury pool. So you go in, you got to prove who you are and everything, and you have to sit there. Each time they send you a letter and say, hey, we got 2 trials coming up, so you're gonna come to the courthouse. You got to sit there all day, and if we call your name, you got to go in, and the defense and the prosecution can ask you questions. And if they don't want you, you can go home. You don't have to come back because you've already been selected once or denied or whatever. Well, I went 4 times, once each week of the month, and sat there all day. And I finally got called in on the very last week, the 4th week of that month. And I got up there, and you get to sit in the little seats, like you're going to be in the jury. And they finally got me up there and asked me a question, and I had to tell them the truth, because everybody goes, you could lie to them, say whatever. And I go, no, you don't want to get caught in a lie, especially if you get chosen. And then later on, the defense says, hey, we found out that person lied to get on the jury. The whole case is thrown out, and they get to start over again. So you don't want to lie. Never lie. It's not worth it. Just tell the truth, because if you end up on the jury, they can use that against you, and somebody might go free because of you. So don't do it. It's not worth it. So I didn't get to serve because the answer that I gave them, the defense didn't like my answer, so they didn't pick me. But they pay you. It's not very much. It was like $7.50 or something an hour that I sat there. But it's a different look of how things actually work. So if you ever got accused of a crime, you kind of understand a little bit more of the process of it. And then I got another letter a couple months later for another jury, but this was federal. So I had to drive all the way to Little Rock, Arkansas for that. And before you go, though, you're supposed to call this one number, and then they'll say, these are the letters that were chosen or whatever of your name. And if your name has these certain letters in it at the beginning, then you got to show up that next day by 9 a.m. or whatever, and make sure not to park somewhere where you can get your vehicle towed because they won't pay for it. That's what they said. So, but guess what? I called and they said, but I wasn't selected. And then the next week we had a snowstorm. So that lasted almost 2 weeks. So I didn't have to be in jury. So they didn't have many courts, I don't think, that month because the weather was so bad. But let me go check the other page again and see if anything is on there. No, I don't see anything. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna turn that down a little. Right there. There. We'll leave that on and just wait and see. But so far, it looks like yeah, they were I'm still waiting. So remember, they said they're going to take their lunch break, and a bunch of them, I'm sure, were very upset because they sat through half of the video. Oh, see, it says 32 minutes from what the video says. Now, that doesn't mean that's what it was. It's just that I didn't have play. So let me go to the front. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. Here we go. We're back on. Turn it up. This is him at the car wash cleaning the back of the van because she threw up and a few other things. Why didn't it cover this up? I don't understand why he didn't cover the camera for this, but he covered it up knowing it was doing something. Ridiculous. All I can say is I don't think this is the first time he's ever done anything like this because he just seems so calm. Like, this is something he does every day. It's creepy.
Okay. Sorry, I accidentally turned on the freaking, what's it called?
Oh, wait, did you use that hammer today?
Yeah.
Oh, it came up fast.
No, I ate it for lunch today.
Okay. Well, are you on your way home?
I'm on my way back to the station.
Okay. Well, I need you to stop at, I have some free book paper.
Day 3 for the day.
Okay, last thing I heard was toilet paper. What?
Yeah. Albert Center.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
because it kind of smells like barf in here. I guess I just ate. I'm just giving you a heads up. I would give me the same truck tomorrow because it kind of smells like barf in here. I guess I just ate something bad earlier, but I kind of threw up in the back of the truck, which I'm still good to work tomorrow. Don't worry. But I did eat something that didn't agree with me, and it kind of stinks now.
Okay.
I'm
Did you
just,
wash it, way to wash it out?
I just stopped at Love's and I used some paper towels and some sanitizer spray.
Well, see what you can do quickly, because, I mean, to clean it up, and all that takes,
Oh no, I mean, I already cleaned it up. I just got done cleaning it up.
all right, well, we're going something tomorrow to kind of break it down, but yeah, we'll pick it back in that truck.
Yeah, it smells bad. I got rid of the throw up. I couldn't get rid of the smell.
Okay, well, thank you for letting me know. I hope you're feeling better.
Oh, after I threw up, I felt a lot better. I was feeling a little bit nauseous all day. But
No,
clearly I'm not rid of whatever it was.
I appreciate you knocking out the route.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can deal with being nauseous.
All right, man. Well, you'll get a good night's sleep, and we got a big day tomorrow. So,
I know, like, I figured out what it's looking like.
I don't. I'm getting ready to call Chase and see. I'm gonna let him know. I can let you know as well. I'll text you back.
Alright.
All right, man. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Alright, me too.
All right, thanks, Tanner.
Hey, just let you know, I wasn't able to tell you earlier because I was trying to go get some cleaning supplies at a Love's, but I kind of threw up in the back of the truck. I threw up in the back of the truck. So there's this one single gas station that's out where I work, right? And they have this little cafe on the inside. I ate a hamburger for lunch. You know, and it was a little bit pink in the middle, but you know, normally that's not that big of a deal. I eat burgers like that in restaurants all the time. But I've been feeling nauseous for the last few hours. And I finally just bleh. Oh no, I actually feel a lot better. About 15 minutes. When you called me, I was literally in Love's, like, trying to get cleaning supplies. First, they're going to try to make me buy cleaning supplies. I was just like, no, I know you guys got some paper towels and some sanitizer that I can use. Just like, oh, well, I'm really not supposed to. Well, I could just sweep it off onto the concrete. She's like, all right. So, right, love you.
Cross-examination.
No questions.
May your friend rest of us be excused.
You may, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
State, this time, state rest, Your Honor.
Okay. The state is rested, and I've told you what your schedule will be next week. Okay, so we will see y'all on Wednesday. Same routine you've been doing. That's a lot of days to be exposed to the media, so stay away, okay? We're halfway through. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Deputy King will have things for you when you get back into the jury room, all right? All rise.
Okay, so we just saw the state rest, Keith, and after we heard Rebecca and Terry describe that video and audio that they saw in the courtroom when they were talking to us just before lunch, and then to see him driving around cool as a cucumber, going to that gas station, getting cleaning supplies and paper towels to clean up, and then just taking phone calls and, telling his dispatcher, I got sick. And so, give me a different truck tomorrow. And, probably ate a bad hamburger. I mean, and then, seeing him stuff her clothing inside his backpack.
I mean, a picture's worth 1,000 words, a video, probably more words, but to see him get the paper towels and the cleaner and just go back there and squat down and scrub, in a parking lot of a gas station. It's not like he even goes to a secret place. He just does it out where tons of people would be walking around and just no regard for anything. But to do that and then to already have a story that you're going to tell dispatch of why your truck might smell, I got sick. And then one thing that I made a note of, and I was telling you while we were watching it, as he's given this excuse for, not feeling well, his truck smells like that he vomited in his truck. And at some point he makes a statement, I actually feel a lot better now. And when you think about when he says that, everything that he's done that day, he's killed a girl, kidnapped a girl, tortured a girl,
dumped a girl.
I mean, all the things that have probably happened in the last 24 to 36 hours of that. And to say, but, oh, you know what? I feel so much better now. And I can't imagine, I can't get how in the world that could come out of your mouth at that point. And he's so calm when he talks to the people, his dispatch, and I think it was his girlfriend.
No, he doesn't sound out of breath. He doesn't sound like he does not. It's just, I've got my story and I'm sticking to it.
Right.
Until I can come up with another story.
Right.
As needed.
Right. And, when he pulls into the garage and we could see the FedEx van or trucks around there, and, he's starting to gradually put his things in his backpack, and then you can see him reach over in the passenger seat and he gets what's wadded up. And, apart from the testimony that you heard earlier, what that might be, you see him unfold and it looks like Athena's jeans and her panties. And then it's in his lap. It looks like he's kind of thinking what to do. He scrunches them up, puts them in the backpack along with his other items to leave for the day. Business as usual. I mean, just.
Well, and then we know what he's going to do the next day. He's going to go to work and he's going to start trying to deliver the new packages that he's getting and also the ones that he didn't deliver the day before.
Right.
And then he's going to have this encounter on the roadway where where the road is blocked off because people are searching for the little girl that he has kidnapped and killed. And he's frustrated because he can't get through.
Right. Honking the horn at people, acting like he's so surprised that, a girl
Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me? Are you serious? I think is what he says. So it's just that you can be that way. I mean, we can't think of how a person can act like that, can be so nonchalant, can live life as usual or as normal with everything that we now know has happened in the hours leading up to that.
Well, I think about how we started today. We started with Athena's dad, this, very difficult testimony, listening to her father recount, how he had self-destructed
Right.
after the death of his daughter, and then to go from there to seeing these videos earlier this morning where they were showing how he was covering up the camera. So a couple times from the days before Athena's kidnapping, and then from the day of. You see that. You see the calculatedness. And somebody said in the comments, a true is a sociopath. Well, I don't know if sociopath, psychopath, all the things, all the words I can come up with. And then we heard Rebecca Lopez and Terry Bentley Hill, an attorney that went over to the courthouse, coming out and describing for us the 40 minutes of video that they had watched, and how on that video you see him take Athena to the car, to the truck, lift her up into the truck, and she's questioning, like, what's going on? Like, are you a kidnapper? And sort of this whole stranger danger thing, and then him taking her, and you hear him assault her, and you hear him tell her to take her shirt off, and hear him and her questioning him about it, and then you hear her, it's hard for me to even repeat the words, saying ouch. You can't see it, but you hear her say ouch, and that's indicative of something sexual is occurring there. And then you hear, and then you hear him, from what they said, driving and listening to Jingle Bell Rock, and because this is, it's November 30th, so we're heading on into Christmas at that time, and then she is crying in the back. Well, of course she's crying, and him threatening her, well, I'll come back there and hurt you some more if you're not quiet, and then hearing later on in that 40 minutes the gasps for air, the muffled crying, and stomping. It is monstrous, it is depraved, it is evil, it is vile. And again, that video we just watched, and of course, the state rests. Oh, what else do you have to say?
Right.
What else do you have to say?
And now the jury gets to go, and this is the last thing that they see for the next 4 or 5 days. The last things that they get to think about, and I'm quite sure it's quite heavy, and they will think about this every day that they're waiting until they come back. If you remember, just seeing what I thought was interesting is as he gets closer to the FedEx place where the trucks are, you could see him remove that little driver's license or whatever that covers the front.
Because he thinks he's gotten away with it.
Because he thinks he's gotten away with it. And so, it is one of those things that you cannot imagine it. And I keep going back to what the medical examiner said. There wasn't really a part of her body that didn't have an injury or some sort of injury or defect or whatever, that basically he touched, injured every part of her. And that's what the jurors got to listen to earlier today.
Yeah, no, they sure did. People are asking me, why is it till next week? Let me explain. So tomorrow, Monday and Tuesday, they're going to have hearings. These are special hearings that they have, and Keith can explain it better, essentially to qualify expert witnesses. So Keith, explain to folks what that means.
Okay, so what they're going to have is, I would assume that the defense has expert witnesses or people that they want to designate as expert witnesses. And when you do that, you have to have a hearing outside the presence of the jury, so that witness can testify, so that witness can tell the state and the defense what their expertise is, what science that they used in determining the opinion that they're going to give, because they're going to give an expert opinion, and then the judge has to make a determination whether or not he's going to allow their testimony as an expert. So The benefit to that is that both sides get a preview of what the witness is going to testify to, and it also narrows the scope of what the witness is going to testify to. So if the witness is an expert in one thing and the witness gets up and tries to testify to something else outside of what was discussed in that hearing, then the opposite side could make an objection. So
Right.
these hearings, I would assume, because there are going to be a lot of doctors or a lot of experts or people designated as experts, they've got to have these hearings. The judge has to listen to what they have to say, and he has to make a determination whether or not he's going to allow their testimony as an expert witness.
Right. And so that's explaining why the trial won't pick back up in a way where it's going to be publicly streamed. The judge is only allowing us to stream for the most part when the jury's in session, and frankly, I don't really know that we would need to stream all those hearings. A lot of that really is just like I said, like qualifying those witnesses to be able to testify in this case. We are planning on Friday, Monday, and Tuesday to re-air on WFA Plus, folks. WFA Plus. We're going to re-air day 1 tomorrow, and then on Monday we will re-air day 2, and then on Tuesday we will re-air today. So if you, those are, I think, 3 really key days, and if you're coming in late, that is a way to kind of, for want of a better word, catch up. But today has, it's like, even in the points where I couldn't understand what they were doing, and I still think it's some of the DNA stuff that they could have tightened it up a little bit, but I get it now.
Well,
I get it.
I think today the picture came a little bit clearer, right? Like, I think that the state's been working and building and building and building their case, and I think today was the day that it really came into focus on a lot of things, and I think with us watching his interview again while the jurors were watching the truck videos that the judge wasn't going to stream or allow us to stream, I think that now, knowing this and going back and hearing what he first told the officers, it just puts it in a whole new context of how bad his lies were, how so off the mark. He wasn't even trying to give them the truth at any point in time until he's actually confronted with what they have found out while he's talking to them.
Okay, folks keep asking me if Rebecca will be back. She will. We're waiting on her. Zeke, do we have any word on Rebecca and Terry in terms of what's going on with them? I'm listening to. Go ahead.
Boys and girls all over the world are being abused and tortured.
The worst moments of these children's lives, they're being videotaped and they're being shared with other offenders all over the world.
Many people would refer to this as CSAM, child sexual abuse material.
They are suffering and they don't think that anyone is coming to help them. But we can. We can build that army and we can go get them.
Come be a part of this team that is trying to push back this evil.